So my name is Kanata, and my name comes from a Canada Goose jacket. I don't know, it just came to me. I was just like, oh, Kanata or something.
So my current name right now is Mega. I started off with the name Mega Troll 457. I was just like a huge troll IRL. And then as I got into the Fortnite scene, I realized that like I was doing somewhat good and I can't have like a professional name named Mega Troll 457.
My current in-game name is 3390YT. Nani comes from way back in the day. I was a big fan of Myth, and for some reason he'd say Nani a lot. I thought the word sounded cool and just rolled with that and it stuck.
My current in-game name is Elite NPen. NPen came from a combination of my first and last name.
My name's Voyle, and the only reason I chose it is because it's a 4-letter name and I thought it looked cool.
So my in-game name is Blake, and I chose it because whenever I was born 19 years ago, my parents named me Blake. That's it.
I mean, a name is definitely like the most important thing of a player. Like, your name definitely has to be a little bit unique.
People undervalue how much advertising matters in terms of the leaderboard, and making your name something silly or not professional can definitely hurt your brand.
I feel like it's really important to have like a name that people will remember you as.
Choosing a name that separates yourself from everyone else is huge for branding.
I think what makes a great name is something that's obviously easy to say, looks cool, sounds cool.
I would say a great Fortnite name is not something like too long, I would say, but like a good like saying, like, there's no numbers in it or something.
Having a great name on Fortnite would definitely be like a shorter name in my opinion. Something really clear and easy to say.
I can't. I don't even want to answer this. This is so bad. My name was the man, not child. Yup. That is bad.
The only other name I've had ever was Icy Waves. I don't know why. I chose it when I was like 12 or like 11.
Whenever I started off in gaming, I made my name Blake PS because I got a PlayStation, so I just added a PS for PlayStation at the end. Whenever I got signed, I was like, I'm just gonna make it Blake because it's way simpler and way better, and then I don't have to explain what the PS is every time.
I used to have it as spiky meme. Yeah, we don't talk about that.
It does feel good. Like you see your name, you're like, yup, that's me. That's me placing up there.
I never thought I'd be up to like where I am today. We started showing up on the leaderboards and it was just mind blowing. I did not expect it.
I never thought I'd see my name like at the top of the leaderboard before, but now that I'm like this far into my career, that's all I want to see.
Yeah, I definitely think my name is going to be up there. You know, I've worked a lot, put so much time in to become the player I am.
It's pretty surreal seeing your name up against players that you know are super good in your region. You take a step back and you look at the leaderboard and you're like, wow.
I think seeing my name against people like Uga, Mero, and others gives me perspective and showing me how far I've come, as well as how far I need to get.
When I first started playing competitively, I was like fans of all these people, and now seeing my name up there with them, it's a crazy feeling.
If I could bring back one POI, what would it be? That's gonna be a hard question.
Okay, I think I know. Because it was the best POI to fight at because there was like a lot of chests and everything.
You might have the same one I have, so we'll see.
Oh, I said
Okay,
Stark
yeah.
in the tree.
They're both good ones, but yeah, no, I love Neo Tilted. How the buildings were, there was a lot of chests, a lot of people to fight, and I also played there at World Cup, so like that was my spawn, so. Who's someone else in the community that I look up to?
I'm gonna try a hard guess. In my fast, but I don't know.
Yeah, Booga.
Yes.
I don't know. He branded himself so well around the game, and I think he has like a great image, and he's really good also. He wins a lot of tournaments, so. If I could only carry one healing item from any chapter or season, what would it be?
Okay, I'm gonna try one thing. Yes.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I feel like splashes are just, they're really good, and they were out of the game for a bit, and I think the whole community kind of missed them because they're really good in team modes, especially. What's my favorite genre of music?
Oh my god. Oh, okay, this one's gonna be hard.
Yeah, we have one song we put sometimes when we play. Rap only when playing, but pop in general I like better, but rap when playing.
I tried.
What's the better aim, me or you? I've been putting the work.
Okay, I think you know. Yeah.
But honestly, his pump aim is probably better than mine, but my aim in general, I think.
Yeah.
I play a lot of aim trainers like daily, so.
What's my favorite solo job spot right now? Oh, that is really hard.
Nice.
Yeah, we got the same. We Lender and duos.
In the NAE scene, we call it the French split, because like we're two Frenchies, but in general, it would be known as Lighthouse split.
If I could choose between the original pump shotgun and striker pump shotgun, which would I pick?
I think that's fairly easy.
Okay, I think I know. I have a good reason behind it.
I have my answer in. Oh no.
No. Every time I play and I get 200 pump, this is like the worst feeling ever.
I'm shocked by this answer.
Who's better at building, me or you?
I don't know.
We both are like building a lot and working on mechanics as well, so. Oh.
That's the both egos. I don't know. I play PGs 8 hours a day, so I think my mechanics are like really good.
Yeah, but I think mine are really good as well because I've played the game for like so long. Do I prefer playing high ground or low ground? Oh, this is an easy one.
Is it?
Yeah, I think. I mean, we have played this for like so long.
Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was obvious.
I kept my finger on it, but yeah, lower ground. We play lower ground a lot, like in most of our games, so we're way more consistent on it. But I think we can be really good when we decide to play high ground in general, also.
What's my go-to meal before competing in FNCS? Okay, that's really hard. Touch my nose.
I'm putting an answer, but I'm not confident.
Okay, I got it. Oh, it was close.
I knew it was some pasta or something, but I didn't know which one it would be.
I think we did good, but I think we will do better with FNCS. So this is true.
Welcome, Fortnite fans from around the world. It is time. Weeks of competition have all led to this. It's the Chapter 3 Season 3 FNCS NAE's Finals, and we're getting to the last of it. Let's get to it.
It all comes down to this. With only 6 games left, who will be crowned champs of NA East? Defending champions Peterbot and Vila took control of the lobby yesterday, going for that Elam-heavy playstyle. They'll be the duo to beat today. Booga and Mero are hot on their heels, though, finishing 2nd place. They played a patient game yesterday, waiting for opportunities to come to them. Will they keep it up or go for a more aggressive play style? After a slow start, Pamsto and Fatch showed us that they deserve their spot in the finals. They're calm, consistent, and perform in all situations, low, mid, and high ground. Which path will they take today? With seasoned veterans like Kanata and Agers and Jamper and Yamzo in the lobby, anything can happen. Grab a seat on the bus. The final battle is about to begin.
What an amazing journey it has been. And now with 50 of the best NA East teams Fortnite has to offer, it's almost a bittersweet moment that we just have 6 more games before we crown our champion. I'm your host, Kelly Link, and I am so excited to be here with you. And if our games today are anything like what we just got to see from EU, you know it's going to be absolutely insane. So with all of that being said, let me bring on my 2 favorite analysts. We got Vivid and Jacob PR. Welcome back to the stage, guys.
Let's crown a champion.
Today's the day. Today is the day. We got to throw all those excuses out the window. No matter where you stand on the leaderboard right now, it is time to play your best.
Yes, there you have it. Coming into day number 2. I'm excited to see what some of these players are going to change up, what they liked about their day 1 performance, and what they did not like. You have to make those adjustments on the fly. This is what Fortnite's all about.
It is 100% what Fortnite is all about. And everyone, there's just so much that we have to look forward to. But maybe somehow you are just joining us for the first time. Well, Vivid and Jacob have you covered.
Yeah, so, how do we have 50 teams gathered here today? Why are they playing for an FNCS championship? That's because they made it through one of these qualifying stages where top 5 advanced directly through to the finals, or they went to the semifinal rounds where victory royales were everything. Also, direct qualification through to the finals, but then there's also that consistency leaderboard there today. Now, finals. It's all about 2 days of competition, and we're already on the 2nd day. It's flown by games 7 through 12. We did have the first 6 games yesterday. Coming into today, though, champions will be crowned. And if anybody wants to end this competition early, 475 points and 3 victory royales via that match point contingency there. We'll have to see what happens, though. But in order to get to the top of the leaderboard, Jacob, what do these teams have to do?
They have to go and battle through 2 different ways, Vivid, in order to get those points. The first one, business as usual, placement points. You get 32 for that Victory Royale. You want to at least squeak in, though, at the very bottom, 35 points. You want at least something for your efforts. But since this is day number 2, things will get down to the wire. Towards games number 5 and 6, because you get 2 points per elimination, that's where I think we're going to see a lot of that activity pick up.
These players are playing for the placements, the eliminations, but at the end of it, Kelly, what will they be rewarded with?
Points are just numbers, but when it comes down to the glory and the Axe of Champions, that's pretty great. But you know what else is great? The money, everyone. $690,000 is up for grabs for our prize pool right here. Of course, the lion's share of that being $160,000 going to the first place team. But every team that has competed in the finals today and yesterday is going to be walking away with some money. Speaking about walking away, I'm going to be walking over here to Jacob and Vivid because we still have to look back on what we saw after day 1.
Now, it's going to be a big kind of opportunity for us to really kind of think about the champions that have progressed so far. You guys got lucky enough. EU was right before this. Vadil and Janice putting on a show for a lifetime.
It was absolutely incredible. And shout out to Asia as well. Miriam and Zagal there. 4 victory royales out of the 12 games that they played. They definitely deserved it here, and they showed it. Then also on OCA, what a finish. Alex and Bailiff only winning by 9 points. It was close all the way to the end there.
Yeah, talk about a roller coaster of emotions. Middle East was no different. They had a 3-point lead after day number 1. They kind of slid down the leaderboard, but they clutched up big. They got a 9 elimination 3rd place finish to take the championship, and that's Rapid. That's his first FNCS final.
Ooh, and that might be happening today. As you guys can see, we still have 3 TBDs up here to figure out for NA East, NA West, and Brazil. And to help us for NA East, looking at the top 10 leaderboard might give us an indication which names are going to be filling out that slot right there. Of course, the reigning champs, Peterbot and Bila, coming out in first place. 20 points behind them, though, the previous champions in Season 1, Booga and Miro.
Let's not forget about 3rd place, Pamsto and Fatch. I think if you guys like one of those teams that stuck together, grinded it out, I think you're going to be a fan favorite of those and probably root for them through and through.
Look at this, Jamper and Yamzo, though, sneaking up there, the 4th place. Not sure how they got there. Absolutely phenomenal gameplay. That's how. And then also, we'd love to see Acorn and Edgy as well sneaking into this top 5. They had one bad game yesterday and they fell out of that top 10, but they brought it back very quickly. And fan favorites, Clicks and Duke, also sneaking into this top 10. 6th place for them right now.
What's crazy to me, though, is that we already had 6 games of competition, the halfway point, and still so many teams are able to make such a shakeup in our leaderboard, like Acorn and Edgy, and of course, Threats and Macwood.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's on the back foot of a lot of these just finding out what they need to do. Threats and Macwood being like, oh, listen, we have the high ground in an FNCS game, and they played it so well. And then Clicks and Duke, Clicks, what did he eat yesterday, Jacob? Because he was just solo clutching after solo clutching.
Yeah, that's what you want to be able to kind of have happen, be able to trust in your teammates and able to make those plays possible. And I said it to start yesterday. If they have that same type of performance they did through the qualifiers, they could crown themselves champions.
Yeah, and of course, we have so many incredible players competing here today, but we're actually going to be hearing from one of our players as well. We had a quick interview, everyone, with Yamzo, so let's check out what he has to say.
Hey there, Fortnite fam. Jacob PR here, and this is In the Lobby with none other than Yamzo. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Glad to have you here. And how did you first hear about Fortnite?
I came home from school, and my friend was playing it on his console, and I tried it for the first time at his house, and I actually didn't like it. A couple days later, I tried again at his house, and then I went home, downloaded it on my console, and I just hooked onto it.
All right, so what made you take that jump from just playing the game on console, playing it with your friends at school, to just jumping right into competitive?
I've only been really competing at like the top for like the last maybe like a year and a half, 2. But I was just always better than my friends on console, and I just wanted to go for it.
Is there anything specific you're looking to improve on in or out of the game?
I'm definitely looking to improve on duos, because my best FNCS placement is either 7th in Grand Royale with Dejin and Nosh, or 7th in the last 2 FNCS with Dejin. And I'm currently playing with Jamper now, so I'm definitely looking to take the #1 victory right now.
All right, speaking of Jamper, your new duo, how did you guys meet, and how did you decide on Jamper being the one?
Me and Jamper have been in the same friend group for like around a year now, and I can just tell he grinds, and I know he wants to win because he's gotten second like 2 times, and he's just like consistently in the top 5, and I know he's trying to get that #1 spot.
Is there any particular duo you're looking at, any rival, somebody you want to go up against?
I don't really have any rival in Fortnite because I know we're uncontested and there's no one that can really stop us besides ourselves.
What would you say your role is for the duo, and how does that work with Jamper?
My role in the duo plays a big part because I know Jamper has a really big brain, but there's always like 2 perspectives to it, and I know Jamper is like a really good mid ground, and this season I'm going to turn him into a height demon, and we're just going to dominate.
This has been In the Lobby with Yamzo, but I know you got a lot of fans out there. How can they find you?
You can follow me on all my socials. It's usually just Yamzo or Yamzo1.
Thank you so much. This has been In the Lobby with Yamzo.
Thank you so much, Yamzo, for that interview right there. Currently sitting in 4th place on our leaderboard. And obviously, we have a lot of duos that we're going to be focusing on. So I want to focus on the team that's just above them right now, and that's going to be Pamsto and Fatch, a team that almost didn't even make it into the finals.
It was close, Jacob, right? Semifinal session number 3. They were the last team on that consistency leaderboard to follow through to the finals. And honestly, they only got pushed into that top 6 because one of those top 6 teams got the victory royale. So it was close. But now they're like, listen, yeah, qualifiers were hard. Semifinals were a little tough as well. But finals, that's where we're comfortable.
Yeah, and I like the way they progressed through each and every one of the qualifiers, through to the semifinals. They got better each and every time because one of their biggest problems to me was their lack of aggression. Since that first time I noticed it to now, they cleaned up that problem, they're cleaning up the lobby, and they're shooting their way to the top.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing that I love about this team is they're so versatile. You can see them right now on the high ground. They've played mid ground. They've played low ground. Everything is possible. Everything is in the back pocket as a play style for this duo. And that's what just makes them so good. And honestly, it comes off the back foot of them playing for so long together. 6 seasons consecutively now.
And obviously, they are doing an incredible job right now in the finals, and I don't want to give disservice to their ability, but how much of that success is due to these northern polling zones?
They've been tough, right? For a lot of these teams, they have been tough, but they do play into the favor of, like Kelly mentioned, some of these teams that are landing up to the north. Now, speaking about that, I want to mention one team who has kind of thrown all that out the window. It's Booga and Miro. These northern zones have not affected them at all. Landing all the way down at Chonker Speedway, they sit in 2nd place right now.
Yeah, I like what you're saying. They're throwing all those excuses out the window. Matter if it's a far polling zone or close, they'll know exactly what they need to do. And you even kind of mentioned it a little bit behind the scenes about they even switched up their drop spot a little bit, being forced down even a little bit more southern from Chonker Speedway. So for them, it's all about adaptation. And for both of these guys, they're looking to cement a legacy here. Multi-time FNCS champions. Booga won the World Cup. I think this is a good way for them to round out the year and round out their position in Fortnite.
I mean, yeah, they definitely don't really need to round out their accolades all day. The list is already so long, but you know what? What's another one for these guys? And the thing that I love to see is that we've seen like a new Booga and Miro when it comes to the end games, because they've both been alive in a lot of these games, whereas usually we see them, they'll make it both there, but then one will go down early and one is left to solo clutch. I think we only saw one rendition of that happen, and the other times it was just do it.
Yeah, it just goes to show that no matter what happens in their game plan, they always have some sort of trick up their sleeve.
Without a doubt, another team that might have some tricks up their sleeve is a team that we actually just got an interview from with Yamzo, Jamper and Yamzo right now.
Yeah, this team is constantly getting better. They're constantly grinding, and they're one of the few teams to get top 10 in almost every single one of their games. It's going to be 4 total. The only team to kind of match that is Peterbot and Byla sitting in 1st place.
This team, Jamper and Yamzo, there's so much experience out of Jamper just oozing, right? He's been with so many different teammates, and it's helped him so much. And then Yamzo, kind of like this young gun coming in, he's so confident. He knows how to play, and it's amazing because then, you know, you think of Yamzo as this confident mechanical player, but then you watch things like this, and it's like Jamper is the one showcasing his mechanics, getting in, the aim is there, everything is there, game sense. It doesn't phase him at all.
Yeah, we were kind of talking a moment ago about different players having those solo clutches. This time around, though, we're not seeing those solo clutches. That's not necessarily a bad thing. That's because they're working so much better as a duo this time around.
And one of the more surprising duos that we're seeing in our top 10 right now, Shoni and OMG Me Too.
What a performance we saw yesterday out of this duo. It's absolutely phenomenal. And to mention, this is actually their second final each. Each of them have only made one FNCS final before this one. But the biggest stat line that I want to pay attention to, average eliminations right now, 4.0 for this duo. That's why they are shining so well. But let's compare it to some of these other teams. There's only 2 other teams throughout this FNCS lobby that have at least 4.0 average eliminations. And that's going to be Buget and Mira with 4.0 as well. And then Peterbot and Byla who have 4.33 average eliminations. And that's our top 2 teams. But these guys right now reside in 8th. So they need to clean up a little bit of their placements. They need to transition these good eliminations that they're finding into the end game just a little bit better. And we could see them at the top of this leaderboard for sure.
Yeah, and I like the way they're picking up those eliminations because I even heard Monster yesterday surprised about how early they were picking up those eliminations, giving themselves a cushion, giving themselves a lot to work with. These guys, like you said, might only be their second appearance here in the finals, but they are playing like veterans.
Yeah, it's amazing because, you know, the place depot is where they're landing alongside down there with Kanata and Aegis. They got to pay attention. They got to, you know, keep their eyes peeled for some of these top contesting duos around them.
Yeah, and being a part of being a top duo is being able to handle kind of any situation you're given.
Of course.
And one of those situations can be you're going down early, but only one of your teammates is down, and you have to do a solo clutch. Now, when these kind of happen, we saw a lot of them happen yesterday, actually.
We did.
How do they handle it?
Yeah, we saw a wide number of solo clutches happen, and one of the first ends we are going to see is the World Cup champion, Bugha and Miro. And fortunately enough, Bugha did go down pretty early on in their game number 1 and left Miro alone for 10 whole minutes. And that might be a little daunting. It might kind of intimidate others. We all know Miro, multi-time FNCS champion, back up against the wall. I definitely know that his bite was more ferocious than his bark.
Yeah, and we saw Nani in actually one of those interviews say, hands down, Miro, best fragger of all time. And he's just shown her, it doesn't matter what situation you put him in, he is so good. And I love these positions of Miro because look at this. He's kind of getting the head of the zone and then looking back because he knows other players that are still back here in the backside of zone are going to be in worse situations than him. So he's getting those free shots in and picking up so many points.
Yeah, another example here is going to be Crisp Nevify. There's going to be a lot of examples here because that's just kind of the name of the game in Fortnite. You lose your teammate very early. You're forced to kind of pick up something. Otherwise, your game's going to be over. But take note, Chris goes down. They have 4 points. Immediately, Nevify starts to get active. They go from 4 points to 29 at the end of their solo clutch. To me, that's just incredible performance. But another team I want to talk about is Clix and Duke. You kind of gave it away over there. The multiple, and I mean multiple clutches as a solo, picking up 15 points in one game, 20 points on another. Fun fact for you guys at home, they're in 6th place now. Without Clix's solo clutches, they'd be around the 20th place mark.
Clix, there you have it. You right now are putting your team on your back.
Yeah, and just looking at the next one's going to be Kanata and Aegis. This one is very big because some of them would look at it as a favorite to win the FNCS this weekend. They have about a couple, I think 115 points, give or take, right? A good percentage of their points were this clutch right here for Kanata. He picked up 33 points. I don't know if that's a record. Somebody better find out because he's vying for it.
Oh, there you have it. And honestly, I feel like a lot of these solo clutches come from the fact that this new Storm Surge is a thing. We already know that on average at the 5th zone right now, coming in after this Storm Surge was implemented, the average material count is way down. So coming into these end games, a lot of these players are just shambles, right? And ultimately, you're just going to end up losing your teammate in one of those situations, but some people just thrive in those, and that's why some of these teams are doing so good.
And something that I saw there from most of those solo clutches is that those players were either in the low to mid ground, but what we saw yesterday is that victory royales come from the high ground.
And we saw it multiple times. Honestly, I feel like a lot of these teams had figured out this strategy that they need to get a refresh and then afterwards go for the high ground. And that's because, just like what I just said, on average, teams have less materials going into these moving zones. Right here, you can see Aegis picks up a refresh, gets those materials that he so desperately needs, and then he realizes, okay, listen, now I have an advantage over the rest of the lobby. So let me use my grapple gloves. Let's get to the front of zone, and then instantly the call is made out. Let's go ahead and start to pressure this high ground team to kind of get rid of some of their materials so that later on we can then build up for it because we have the refresh, we have the materials to back it up, and there you have it. A clean build up secures on the high ground, and then ultimately the victory royale as well.
Yeah, you can't always predict that you are going to get an elimination. situation. You could plan for it for sure, but it's not always going to come to fruition. So quick thinking from Kanata and Agers to immediately go for that high ground and really take possession of it and kind of terrorize the lobby from there on out.
That's what we love to see, and we saw multiple more examples of this happen throughout the day. Pamsto and Fast were also another team who kind of used this strategy, went up during that 7th zone. But honestly, we've talked about how these players play in-game, and Kelly loves to keep us up to date on the out-of-game.
Thank you so much, Vivid. I mean, we've learned about solo clutches, we've learned about the high ground, but what about the players knowing their duo mates? So here we have it, everyone. Duo, you know me.
If I could bring back one POI, what would it be? It's gonna be a hard question.
Okay, I think I know. Because it was the best POI to fight at, because there was like a lot of chests and everything.
You might have the same one I have, so we'll see.
Oh, I said Stark in the tree.
They're both good ones, but yeah, no, I love Neo Tilted. How the buildings were, there was a lot of chests, a lot of people to fight, and I also played there at World Cup, so like that was my spawn. So who's someone else in the community that I look up to?
I'm gonna try a hard guess. Am I fast? But I don't know.
Yeah, Booga.
Yes.
I don't know. He branded himself so well around the game, and I think he has like a great image, and he's really good also. He wins a lot of tournaments, so. If I could only carry one healing item from any chapter or season, what would it be?
Okay, I'm gonna try one thing. Yes.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I feel like splashes are just, they're really good, and they were out of the game for a bit, and I think the whole community kind of missed them because they're really good in team modes, especially. What's my favorite genre of music?
Oh my god. Okay, this was gonna be hard.
Yeah, we have one song we put sometimes when we play. Rap only when playing, but pop in general I like better, but rap when playing.
I tried.
What's the better aim, me or you? I've been putting the work.
Okay, I think we know. Yeah.
But honestly, his pump aim is probably better than mine, but my aim in general, I think. Yeah. I play a lot of aim trainers like daily, so.
What's my favorite solo job spot right now? Oh, that is really hard.
Nice.
Yeah, we got the same. We Lender in duos.
In the NAE scene, we call it the French split, because like we're two Frenchies, but in general, it would be known as light out split.
If I could choose between the original pump shotgun and striker pump shotgun, which would I pick?
I think that's fairly easy.
Okay, I think I know. I have a good reason behind it.
I have my answer in. Oh no.
No. Every time I play and I get 200 pump, this is like the worst feeling ever.
I'm shocked by this answer.
Who's better at building, me or you?
I don't know.
We both are like building a lot and working on the mechanics as well, so. Oh.
That's the both egos. I don't know, I play PGs 8 hours a day, so I think my mechanics are like really good.
Yeah, but I think mine are really good as well because I've played the game for like so long. Do I prefer playing high ground or low ground? Oh, this is an easy one.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, we have played this for like so long.
Yeah.
So I think.
Yeah.
It was obvious.
I kept my finger on it, but yeah, low ground. We play low ground a lot, like in most of our games, so we're way more consistent on it. But I think we can be really good when we decide to play high ground in general, also.
What's my go-to meal before competing in FNCS? Okay, that's really hard. Flash my nose.
I'm putting an answer, but I'm not confident.
Okay, I got it. Oh, it was close.
I knew it was some pasta or something, but I didn't know which one it would be.
I think we did good, but I think we will do better in FNCS. So this is true.
Thank you so much, Pamsto and Fatch, for sharing us your insight, in not just the game, but in each other as well.
Lasagna.
And you guys know there's been some people that I feel like we've come to know and love here as well. They might not be a duo, they are a trio, and that is our in-game team, everyone. You saw them from EU. We got Mini Miner, we got Monster D-Face, and Shio Wager.
Feeling good. Day number 2, always hyped, mind moisturized. It's nice.
Your hair is quite moisturized as well.
Thank you.
Look good.
Absolutely.
Bring back the army print today too, you know, in good finals fashion.
Absolutely, of course. EU was crazy as well. Just come back from that. It was unbelievable. We saw some crazy scenes on there, Kelly. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing.
I imagine, I mean, we all just got to see it. It was absolutely incredible. But guys, we got to get into NA East. That's what we're here for. But before we can get into Game 7, we got to talk about our predictions. Of course, Mini Miner, you and I sharing the prediction of the 3-time champs, Bugha and Miro.
Yes, Bugha and Miro, they are hopefully going to be the 4-time champs today because, you know, they had a solid day one, despite the fact they had some North Zones. They answered all those questions. They had really, really good surge pass. They went through to the Joneses instead of the natural rotations for them. So they had a lot of questions after them, and they had all of the answers. I'm sure more of the same today.
Yeah, us two had the 2-hit wonders from yesterday. Kanata and Agers, who started off the day kind of strong. They're sleeping for now, but rest means awesomeness for day 2.
Yeah, to me, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to be hopeful because Kanata's 33-point solo clutch gave me hope because they would have went from 12th to 24th without that. I think anything's going to be possible.
For me, it's going to be 7Z and Cold. Listen, hopefully they have a better day number 2. Right now, they reside in 39th place. So not the best day 1, but they did get contested unexpectedly. They just weren't as good at adapting to that.
Hey, listen, don't worry. You could ride the vehicle with me. We're in the struggle bus here. We'll continue as the day goes on. Spade and Chip, my friends, have an opportunity today to hit the drawing board, come back for day 2. I think, of course, that's going to be the story for both of our picks here. So hopefully they've done their homework.
Well, we're going to be moving from the struggle bus to the battle bus, everyone, whether it is a far polling zone and unprecedented, uncontested drop spot, or so much more. Anything can happen here in the FNCS. So let's get to it, everyone. Game number 7 starts now.
Game 7.
It's day 2 of the finals, and of course, you saw the standings. We have a big leaderboard in front of us. Peterbach, Byla, Pamstool, Fatch, and of course, Acorn, Edge, and many others here, Shayo.
Yeah, absolute stories of redemption all down the lines, and a little bit of deja vu near the top of the boards. It'll be interesting to see who runs out of the gates just blazing at their feet in game number 7.
And of course, yesterday was littered, and I mean littered, with northern zones. This is going to play huge favor into our north teams like Pamstool and Fatch. But now you have Bugha and Miro, who potentially have the opportunity to get a little bit of lady luck and fortune on their side today, as we have 6 more games in front of us.
Yeah, lots of skill from that team too. Max zones pulling, they're adapting. Some obviously not being as fortunate in making decisions, getting towards the top, but anything can happen. A whole day of review, 24 hours almost. Monster, they're rested, players are ready.
Absolutely, and of course the pressure. $692,000 is on the line. Let's see who's going to take it away for game number 7.
Drop rolling in, and the stories are already set. The top 5 looking mighty alive. Everyone after that wants a seat at that top table. That being said, the people who were in the lead yesterday by the halfway point felt confident. By the end of the show, we're resting with the fishes down below even the top 10 spots. So nothing is for certain. Even if you're in the lead, you're Peterbach, Byla, you're used to winning FNCSs, you're Bugha, Miro, you want it back. You have to win off spawn. For Chris and Nebify, every single game yesterday, it was just 2-on-2. I think they won almost every single one.
That's right, and if yesterday was any indicator, we all know game 1s, game 2s, the way you begin your tournament does not determine how you close out. You absolutely have to have a perfect strategy for Nebify. Chris, they come back in here, they close things up, they pick up where they left off. Can Skakuga and users do the same here? I mean, at this point, they've managed to continue to survive this drop. They have some of the best odds at survival here. Can the other opponents overcome the hurdles here?
It's all about the drops, how fast you fall right now for a bunch of the teams that were winning it towards the end of yesterday. They're holding on to that type of legacy, that type of push-pull situation. Synapse Station, Castor Nico having a few tough drops all the way towards the bottom. He's got power and loadout right now, but Elite and Glace, they've got the numbers.
In the feed as well, you see Walkers pick up Bryce there in another contested fight off on the side. But first, Synapse Station. An interesting draw spot here. This is a fight that, of course, is not too far off from Bugha and Miro, who have been farming this general area. Notice on the map, already we have some early action and activity coming in this general direction. This is, of course, going to play into the benefactor. But no, look, that's actually D-Roller and crew rotating on by. But let's get back on over to center map, right? This is a fight that we know has to conclude.
Yeah, user Skuga up against Bank and Tahi, and this fight has never gone this way. Usually ends super fast within 15 seconds. There's actually builds now being involved really far. Tahi actually having enough to actually push this fight. That's huge. Users has to adapt here. Just 3 builds to be able to use for himself. This cone going to be the key, but at the same time, he can't unlock the door. No shots landed. Tahi escapes down below. He used everything to have this little bit of a distraction. Gets users on the jump from side to side. Tahi tracking this entire fight. Doesn't even help Bank. This man's got the cash inflow. Scooter down. Bank and Tahi are back.
Like week 1 again here, where they were having successful wins out the gate. This time again, drags on a little longer. Donnie and Aviv are here to play spoiler. Shots coming from across the lake, you can only assume could be 7Z, Cold potentially, who land just south of this, but Donnie and Aviv, stories on you as they're starting to slide on in, looking to play the big upset there, and Bank gets crushed with a huge shot with the 2-pump shotgun there. Okay, looking pretty good. Tahi's now looking extremely desperate behind the walls. The opponents in the general vicinity end up backing off for a second. Someone new wants to take a peek, but Donnie's gonna be quick. He's gonna close this one up, and just like that, they earn themselves 2 elims.
Third partying in, especially with 2 teams that fight so deep like that, it's so much easier for Donnie and Aviv to just come through and make it look like practice. Mason and Enpen, who were setting up a lot of traps actually towards the games, do exactly that to D-Roller, who wants to get to Knifer. Mason sees it coming, covers the left side. Right after that, piece control. He's able to control so much and dictate where Knifer wants to go. Nice wrap up, and those are all the early fights. Now we look at the leaderboard in terms of who's first, not just in elims, but overall in the competition. Peterbot Bila leading the pack by 20 points.
Incredible, right? Honestly, incredible consistency across season after season is nothing to overlook. What stands out to me is, of course, that Adris and Kanata point there. The fact that they literally only had 2 end games yesterday, 2 of 6 games, and that places them up at 12th. They have just proven that they can find some of the most elims.
Yeah, and you'll also notice if you're watching this, we have so many stats based off stories that have happened. It feels like you're turning in with a tournament already halfway, and it's just the start of the day for NA East. There were 6 games yesterday. This is a 12-game total format. If this is your first time watching a total tournament, and right now players have had a break, they're coming back in. It's the exact same lobby. Nothing's really switched up. Some of the drops, though, new. Some of these fights, definitely tips from maybe coaches or people reviewing. You and your teammate had a talk on what to do to improve the way you play the game. We'll see differences all across the map.
That's right. For Jack and Nosh here, they land outside the Tilted Towers. They typically tend to go into the city to take a fight, but Kicks and Sphinx learned from yesterday's mistakes. They exit faster, and now that battle continues on the outskirts for Pamstone and Fatch. This is their shot. They get to this metal tower here. They break it down. They consume as much material as possible, and then they take this on over. Already, the continuation of the zones is coming north. The map reveals that it's somewhat in their general area. It's looking pretty good for a current top 3rd position team of Pamstone and Fatch.
Yeah, for these guys, a lot of the times when you're watching top teams play, even Duke and Clicks, it seems almost effortless the way that Clicks likes to clutch. For Pamstone and Fatch, the POV we just saw before, you can feel the effort, the work they're putting in. Different work has to be put in for this team, though. For Duke and Clicks, it's about staying alive, staying together. It's a duos competition, and they have a majority of their points from either player just clutching.
That's right. This is a team that, of course, when they are together, I mean, it's a match, and it's a flame. Anything can happen. The combustion is always there. You never really know. But so far, we've only seen one or the other component, both not quite to make it into anything.
Yeah, you're talking about synergy, then this is the POV to watch. Yamzo, Jamper, always together, and they're playing like they want to win this FNCS. A lot of the times, the Yamzo's playing like he wants to win every game, and that puts him way up in the top 5, but they've been looking at consistency more than anything else. They have a tough decision to make, a far rotate. They don't risk as much anymore. They stick together, stay low, keep their heads down, and wait for the right time to strike. We'll see if that type of playstyle is good for day 2, or if they should go back to controlling more of the game.
Jamper and Yamzo have the same thing in common with Edgy and Acorn in the sense they play for that extreme high ground position, right? They try to get as high as possible here so that they can survey the entire area and really make it difficult for players to rotate center map there. Meanwhile, Clarity G and Slacks, completely different situation here. They're on the foot move right now, and they're being held out to the hands of Rhythm and 20 here, who have that high ground position. They're starting to look down here. The angles are good, and a great counterfire here from Clarity G. This is a team that's on the bubble. Not out of the conversation by any means. A couple of great games today, and they'll be on that rocket ship on up to a well-placing tournament end. For 7Z and Cold, what can they do? This is a team that realistically has never left the conversation of a top 5 or so, but my gosh, we're seeing the struggle this weekend.
That's what happens when your drop is just kind of affected on day number 1. On day 2, looks like they have gotten rid of their rivals. Either Donnie and Aviv went somewhere else, or 7Z and Cold are also switching up their spots completely. Verk also rocking in. What I'm liking from a bunch of these teams is that you can still see the confidence there. They're ready to go. There's new things happening on day 2 with how they move. 88 players left in the lobby so far. What to watch if you tune into any of these POVs is looking at the points they have. That golden number right next to their health bar. If it's triple digits, that team's doing really well. Has a chance to stay in top 10. Shonye, OMG Me 2, 124 is that number you should be looking at. It's really nice for those guys over on day 1. This is one of the most aggressive teams we watched, Monster. There was so much fun to tune in with.
There was a point in time yesterday where it looked like OMG Me2 and Shonye were unstoppable. Quite literally picking up some of the fastest chain of elims in the early and mid game that we've seen in any tournament, especially a final settings. If they can repeat that performance again here, they'll surely rock it up and close that gap. As we know, it's around 20 or 30 points or so as we start dropping outside that top 5. So it will be a hero's effort, a huge game, a monumentous game in order to jump up. Yamzo, meanwhile, gets eliminated by Golden in the feed there. That is one of the most crucial takedowns early right now. And we know they're typically positioned high up on top of that mountain, so caught on the rotate here, you don't expect that.
And when you're playing Fortnite competitive in this type of lobby all the way in the mid game, what you want to do is just start dealing damage to people. If you don't, the server starts to deal damage to you. You want to stay active. It's a mechanic called Storm Surge. How Jamper and Yamzo play it, the teammate of Jamper, Yamzo just went down, Monster mentioned it, is that they split apart a little bit and cover more ground. If a duo comes in that likes to stay together like Golden and Silver, they can just single out Yamzo, make it a 2v1. It's so much easier to win that fight. That's exactly what happened, and now Jamper's just by himself.
Season Day also play that type of play style, and interestingly enough, they do that around the same exact area, which is really cool.
Absolutely. Big changes from day 1 to day 2. Mini, he's got the news as to what's actually happening.
Yeah, big change indeed. Now, yesterday we saw Booga and Mira landing towards the left side or the west side of Chonkers Speedway. Now they're landing towards the east side. This allows them to use the Rift. And what I find interesting about what they're doing at the moment, even though it's a north zone, they're actually going back to Chonkers Speedway. This allows them to get a few extra surge tags onto the team, Costa and Zeus, that is contesting them over at Chonkers Speedway. You can see the tags coming through right now. And, of course, they are able to get all of the metal that is around the edge of this side of the map. You can see all these little cars that are being able to be farmed. So this actually maxes out Booga's metal, you can see on the screen right now. So they're just playing the edge of this map, and of course they can get all the scraps from the loot that Costa and Zeus left at Chonkers Speedway. This is really the key to their success so far.
Thank you, Manny. Absolutely, it's the ebb and flow, the back and forth, and their drop has so much to put down. They're still farming up precious materials. You want to have that metal all the way up and still dealing damage, because we are getting towards that middle portion of the game. So huge for Boogamiro. Second place overall too. They want to keep rising.
Yeah, definitely. And you can see that they're taking advantage of the newer teams in the area. Costa and Zeus don't have much finals experience. So for them to go ahead and recognize the weaker players in the general area to take advantage of that, and honestly outsmarting them, switching up that draw spot in case that team was looking to do their homework, change up the strategy, and ruin their chances this weekend. You'd love to see the cautious actions take place there. But let's hop on over to some more fights here. Quad and Tab G trying to get active here. This is definitely the strat at play. Over peeking while you have the barrel out in the open. Both sides are doing it. They're ready. They're willing to go for these exchanges. So far, Quad and Tab G are going to get the benefits of the tags there and get the damage leads. That's going to be perfect for them. No shot that team peeks back. They have to heal. They have much more to worry about, and they use this time to rotate. Smart play for Moons, Tabs G. And of course, level up. Quad right now, you love it. And look at that. That puts them 100 above, so those tags were crucial.
Got to be careful, though, where you make the base. If Quan Tabs G stayed there for even a second more, there were about 5 different teams that could have shot him up, so I like the fact that they actually move. Violet Peterbot, it's not going to be a base race for them as much as storming the castle here. This mountain becomes so big and vertical all the way towards the top. There is a team up there. They're going to be just surveying the ground, looking for the next team to shoot, if they can find one. If not, I haven't seen them really shoot too many people. Yeah, they're only about 87 above. They have to get to fighting fast. First place, want to keep that lead.
Crazy to think they were just moments away from clashing against Tamster and Fats right there, who were just bending around the mountain. But a fight that is breaking out right now, our 9th place team, Paper and Lawrence. A great day 1 for a team like Paper and Lawrence. Just dropping a single game there. The difference in why they slipped down and lost that bit of consistency. But this is a team that surely has been playing very, very well. So far, so good for them. If they've managed to stay consistent enough to go ahead and not really have too much of a pressure situation lining up in front of them. Meanwhile, Threats and Mac would seem like they're on the prowl right now. Yesterday, the call, the line was, Macwood is back. What can they do right now? They're going to have to continue to prove if whether or not he's really in shape right now.
Need a lot of damage, 100 below, so either Macwood or threats on screen right now needs to land about 3 or 4 shots on someone. He's going to be looking for it, a chance for 5 to drive into a player's body. Not going to be enough. There's 2 opportunities here, 2 different players, Pump and Teo. That Macwood can just keep shooting at. The entire lobby now moving from that side as he reloads. Yamzo Jamper running into lots of problems with their early game. They've dealt no damage to anyone. Haven't had a conversation with a single team that will come back to bite them. Why? Because Yamzo went down. Jamper had to pick him back up. They're going to go fight exactly who took down Yamzo. It's revenge there for Fatch and Pamsto. Shifty Shafts, who said there'd be a collision monster. They'd run into trouble in this mountain. They definitely have. And both of them are barely even alive. Half HP.
Not only that, the fact that Fatch is using heals on his own, right, individually shows the desperation right now. He is not willing to even take the risk of sitting around on low HP, but luckily they get together. That was a clash against Degen and Playify, who was on the other side of that Shifty Shafts. Looks like a little ambush was set up. Peterbot and Byla also was looking like they were about to get eliminated for a moment there, as Macwood have them in their sights. They're just in that general area. Threats and Macwood now push in because they got those opening tags before we slid away. Threats is hurt here to the Storm Surge. Seems like it's active. Peterbot wants nothing to do with that. He's on the run right now. This is a tournament running opportunity right here on the line. All he has to do is survive essentially at this moment.
Storm Surge striking threats right now. Wants to make sure that he's playing with time correctly. Macwood also desperately in need to get to just one of these boxes, but they can't find it. Byla, Peterbot just too good at playing the layers game, switching up exactly where they are. Threats now trapped inside. Huge damage from the cone too. The fact that Byla took no damage from that, absolutely perfect. Saved the resources, and they pick up an easy 2 eliminations on both Macwood and Threats.
You know what? You take that clip, you put it in slow motion. Look at how quick they were able to react there. But hold up, 3rd place on the walls of our 1st place team. Fatch with the opener to Peterbot the trade. And Pamsto clutches up. What did we just watch? The craziest of exchanges. Peterbot and Byla left their guard down for a brief moment. And that is what the best of the best will do. You'll lose your tournament run. Meanwhile, 4th place also in a world of trouble. The whole entire script has been flipped on its head.
The top of the table. The high council's kind of fallen. Every single top team struggling, except for Bugamiro, except for 3rd place, Fatch and Pamsto. What a way the Storm Runners to come in from the darkness, just strike inside that box. Have a trade there too. The fact that Fatch trusts Pamsto enough to be able to finish that, put his body on the line for it. That was just such a good display, and they needed that too. They needed the damage or they would have been taken out.
At this point, personal mistakes were made. I should not have had any coffee. Because I knew this was going to be exciting. It was going to get me going either way, but my gosh, I am peaking right now. It's feeling so good as Acorn and Edgy now in 5th. We have ourselves a tournament because what's going to happen now, that gap that we saw, very, very rarely will that gap be disrupted as quickly as it has right now. We are going to immediately see this lobby start to condense as far as the point threshold goes. So pay very, very close attention. We have ourselves a finals.
Absolutely. The 1st place team, 20 points ahead, taken out by the 3rd place team. That means everyone else can catch up. Acorn and Edgy, they're going to be the 5th place team, but they're below damage right now. They need to deal something. Shoot a body somewhere. We need to see numbers pop up on the screen. But Acorn can't find anyone. So many boxes, so many chances. Now that HP bar will start to go down, lightning every 5 seconds for 25 damage. They can take about 4 of them. There it is from Edgy. That's 1. Needs about 2 more here to be above thresholds. It's good for now, but it's not going to be enough.
It's not much. And also notice that team that they were looking at in the distance was Booga and Miro as well, so a little bit of lobby focus there can also spell trouble for a 2nd place position team, but Edgy and Acorn have to do so much more if they want this tournament to go in their favor, as roughly 13 or so players will have to fall. The threshold is very far away. No one is safe. Meanwhile, we have Clix and Duke. We haven't shown them yet today, but don't worry. Do not worry. We get to see what they're made of right now. They're on the move. They're on the rotate. They're looking good, right? But look at the loadout here, Shayo. What does that tell you?
Tells me that they don't have that much firepower up inside their inventories at all, up inside their loadouts. So you want to have a little bit of more oomph, especially for the end game. Also lacking a few heals. They've definitely had a lot of trials and tribulations to get to this point, but we're fighting around Tilted Towers. Lots of opportunities for box fights. That's where Clix thrives. For solo clutches, though, it's going to be tough to be able to get any damage done. A lot of people will just stay hiding. Slacks, although he needs to hide, he also needs to stay active inside the game. He needs to find a duo and get to work. 29 damage, no heals, gray weapons. Anyone can just see that this is super down bad.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
The word I'm looking for is down and bad. This is a rough position to be in for any professional player. Game 7, 29 HP. You really have to think about it. It's almost impossible to ask him to come back now. OMG Me Too might just be served up a free opportunity here if they pounce on it. Let's take a look. Shonye, OMG Me Too, 7th place after the first day. Right now, just barely above the surge, so they're going to have to pick and choose their poison. It's go right or it's go left. Right now, they're looking at the team on the right. Little do they know there is that solo there, opposite of the angle, but they will have to get active. Meanwhile, 7Z and Cold are on the rotate right now, outside the zone, just in the what is this, the congested area here. Such a tough spot to rotate through.
And the mix of things, and it's tough. Many players also not being able to get on the train and get to the next portion of this game. Donnie going down, Hoofishy taking him out. A lot of the people on the right side coming in from Tilted Towers. Not gonna have the most pleasant ride, the most scenic route into the end game where a lot of points are handed out for placement. 7Z inside the box will deny Tabney a chance at getting eliminations, but it'll cost him all his shields. He'll have to heal up here. Loadouts will have to basically get chopped in half.
Definitely a tough spot to be in here. If even Donnie versus Cold and 7Z there. Might be a little heated battle, but let's see it. On over to Duke and Clicks. 200 above the surge, so they've managed to do enough. Also, Zone pulls favoritism towards the south here. Not too far for them, as they're also in front of the congested pack, so it's pretty good. Meanwhile, Playify falls in the feed there to the surge, just to alleviate the surge for now. This would basically stop the damage from going to the rest of the lobby. Everyone gets to have a moment to breathe here, but it's only going to last 55 seconds. Meanwhile, Thatch finds Hoofishy, another set of eliminations. The gap continues to close here. And also, 23 duos remaining equals more placement points now as teams start to fall. So we are really jumping into the hero point threshold area where all the big numbers start to add up.
Seeing improvements for every team as well from the previous day. Clicks and Duke now staying together up and alive. Kaz and Hoofishy also being very active. They were very quiet yesterday. Rise and Trashy, unfortunately, the same mistakes. These guys are a sponge. They can take a lot of punishment, unfortunately. It's kind of just been information and action overload for the team. Trashy now down. It's all up to Rise to clutch this out. He has the grapple gloves. He has the swing and the mobility. Look at this go. Matt's though running out down to just brick. Use it up, has about 10 more boxes to make. If he's kind of frugal with them. With the zone changing now, it'll start to move everywhere across the map. He'll be pressured down. Thatch and Pamsto are on fire. 5 eliminations. I talked about you can feel the work when these guys are playing. They really put everything down, elbow grease into every single elimination. And they're doing it right now up to 2nd place. And taking over 3rd, and we know that 1st is down. They can really take the lead.
We don't want to speak too soon, though. There are still new teams looking to make headlines today. Jackson and Chubbs being that, setting the example right now as they have high ground. They have an opportunity to take home a victory royale should they hold this out correctly. Commandment and Avery, we've seen several times poised up for high ground as well. You know, really eyeing us saying, hey, man, can we really do this? We know Commandment is known for the low ground, so more often than not, you see there, they opt to jump down low. Meanwhile, Booga is hurt. No shields, no HP for him. Miro alongside, same situation.
No mats for Miro either, so that team is absolutely running on fumes. Clicks and Duke, though, waiting on the backside. They love rolling the zone late, so let's see if they can survive. Donnie just revived. Has minimal mats to work with and is out way in the open. Not a single shot even coming at him. Trees blocking him all around the way, down to just 6 mats. They have to jump into a box now. Maybe Aviv has some materials, but he's running out of health completely. Agers denied high ground. Chubbs and Jackson just too strong on the defense from the top rope.
Miro takes some clicks there with a huge shot, though. Swings around the wall and gets everything he needs. A little bit of mats, more time, but he loses Booga in the process. Miro once again now by himself in the end game here, and it's only going to continue to add up. Take a look here. He has to double back into the storm line. Reads the player. Big shot there, but no. Taken out and down he goes. Edgy and Acorn on the other side in 5th place now. Starting to get active. Pamster and Fat looking great up above. And we have ourselves quite the game now.
The lobby's so close to each other from top down, but the ground actually gives out. We're moving off a mountain straight down to the dirt. This lobby will just get so vertical, so fast. Donnie wants to live here and stay on this layer, but he does not have the mass to be able to just stay on this ride towards the right side. Costa up inside a few boxes. If he edits back, Donnie's gone. Kanata by himself. Aegis tried to take to the skies, but his wings were clipped, so now it's up to Kanata to float. Kaz lost Too Fishy down in the depths of the water, but he can move throughout the storm. It's raining, it's pouring. Kaz, though, he's looking for glory. Any type of shot, and it's Donnie that he sees. The big jump, and boom! He misses! What, Kaz? No chance. Donnie survives.
Donnie hits the shot that matters most there. We couldn't have set it up better either. He should have connected, but hey, these things happen when the pressure is on. Meanwhile, Crisp and Nevify on the ultimate low here, trying to make clean up off the dust under the carpet, but no! Nevify fights back. He loses his man down. Chucky gets the siphon, and he will have a little bit more time, but this is weird terrain. You can actually walk through this, so we're going to have to reevaluate the situation here. Meanwhile, Pamsto in Fatch in second place right now. They jumped their way out. They actually managed to close the gap and catch up to Peterbot and Byla, and now things become even more contested up top.
Commandment, star player, up inside his natural habitat, looking at every single build, looking at a clutch situation. It's Wood here. He can jump in at any moment, but he's waiting his time. Fatch, the protagonist, Pamsto, the hero. In this game, they can definitely take over.
Finds another one. Nevify now swinging his way all the way outside. Will this be another one served up for Pamsto and Fatch? We know they're on this side of the zone. They're dangerous and they're on fire here, so you do have to be careful. Meanwhile, Nevify gets caught up in a web's trap there. Costa is the one who gets it, but you know what? Pamsto and Fatch are fighting back on the same exact team here and already putting down big pressure. Acorn and Edgy on the other side, just completely quiet as they just branch their way into the safety of this zone. But everyone is starting to fall now. Jackson and Chubbs are on top, racking up eliminations. They also have been extremely active here.
Oh, Fatch taking out champions now up against legends. Too much to handle. That water too deep. Chubbs and Jackson, they want to go for a swim. It's vacation time. They got so many mats. This is a victory lap. Nawson, the last person left. He's got a pistol in the inventory. Chubbs, what type of loadout is this? Swagging on him. Nawson now down below in a 1v2. It's possible. There is a chance if he has the mats that there's a clutch coming out from this man down below.
Here it is, Jackson and Chubbs, the 2v1 situation. This could be their 6th elimination in Victory Royale, and a comeback story for them as they start to jump back up into the game here today. But the low ground player has so much to work with. MPED looking very good here. Nawson is going to get shot with a big shot there. Jackson closes out in the end, and he finds his 6th elimination.
That is just really nice, cerebral, and a default type of win from Jackson up top. Him and Chubbs had the high ground from the 5 zone, the best pull 2, and controlled the entire lobby. Dictators in game number 7.
Well, it's crazy. Not a single team wanted to contest them. The fact that they were up there with, I believe, 0 or just a single-digit elimination and then turn that. No, actually, it was 0. Take a look here. Not a single elimination. They find 6 in the end the moment they take high ground. And that's the riskiest thing you can do as a duo, is commit your materials from height that early and say you're going to take it all the way to the end. Take a look at that.
Yeah, they started this entire game way outside of the 20th place range on the leaderboard. They're going to shoot all the way up to 18th and even higher after that. Big shout outs to Chubbs and Jackson. The rest of the story, though, for the top 5, you know, Peterbot Byla going down, Fashion Pamsto, a phenomenal game from them. Absolutely impressive. I want to see what changes that makes.
Hey, everything is going to change here, but congrats to Chubbs and Jackson, of course, taking that win. Game 7 is off to a bang. This is the NAE's finals. We're starting it up. Let's send on over to Kelly.
Congratulations to Jackson there. Of course, though, we have to talk about some of the top teams going down a little early, like Peterbot and Byla going down in the mid-game there. Of course, we also saw oh my gosh, Bugha and Miro having a little bit of a struggle as well, and having Pamsto and Fatch taking over that 2nd place spot.
Absolutely, yes. Going down early means that some of these teams that were on the chase have the opportunity of a lifetime. Make a statement. Game number 1 of day 2, ultimately game number 7, and Pamsto and Fatch did just that. They made it into the end game, and honestly, it looked like for 1 second right there that they were actually going to win it because they were playing so well on the low ground.
Yeah, bringing that momentum from day 1, channeling it over into day number 2 here. They already have the blueprint. They already have the recipe. They just need to be able to execute on it, and if today is anything, they've already got things going. It's such a forward progression. You can see teamwork really making the dream work, because while Pamsto backs out, Fatch is just going ahead and continuing that pressure to give them time to heal.
Yeah, I love this right here. The last second, right, they realize they have no builds, and the cohesive dive down into the water, like synchronized swimmers, both going for the shots, making sure that they get as many points as they possibly can. And ultimately, look, That effort is going to put them in first place with 194 points.
I thought they just stole second, but stealing first place. But there is only just a 2-point difference from Peterbot and Byla. And that's due to the fact that Peterbot and Byla, although going down early, were able to grab just a few amount of eliminations.
And the storyline is set up here perfectly, right? Because guess who they went down to, Jacob? They went down to Pamsto and Fats coming out of the storm, who looked like they were so shambles. They needed Storm Surge, but a little bit of a mistake from Peterbot and Byla, leaving their top open. Pamsto and Fetch took full advantage. That instant one pup that comes out, they get the knock, the cleanup is there, and now they are in contention for winning this whole thing.
Yeah, I said it yesterday about Clicks and Duke, but the Cinderella story might be Pamsto and Fetch because they were almost not here at all, not even a chance. But they got it served up to them, and they're taking that serving and really putting it to work.
I feel like there's so many stories going on right now on our leaderboard. So many big names, the top names of NA East. And then, of course, we still have the newer teams as well, like Shoney and OMGB2. But speaking of new teams, we have to talk about Chubbs and Jackson.
First of all, somebody has to have a conversation with Chubbs. If he has a coach, got to make sure that he knows that pistol is not ideal in an endgame loadout. But look at him. He is making it work. Maybe it is. The big damage numbers coming out. We can see him right there picking up the elimination. And then I also saw later on that he actually finds Ager with it as well. You can deal big damage with it, but I mean, like, listen, this was just free for these guys. I don't think anybody even realized that there was a high ground team. They were all just like, oh yeah, that's fine, just leave them up there. And as a result, they have so many materials. I mean, 60 builds right now going into the 9th zone. How in the world do you do that?
Yeah, and I think it kind of played a part of where the zones actually went. It was pretty center for the most part, getting pulled over, tilted, and just the amount of work. And that's got to give Chubbs and Jackson a ton of confidence continuing on the rest of the day, because it's not always how you start, it's how you finish that is just as important.
I mean, you're hating on the pistol, but I saw eliminations coming out of there. Although they didn't make it into our top 10, a team that did, Nevify and Crisp, who had almost double-digit eliminations in that game.
Yeah, they bumped up 11 places, put themselves in the top 10. Agers and Kanata also now, they were 12th place coming into day number 2. Now they're 9th, so the rise is there. But somebody that I loved to see right there, Acorn and Edgy, knowing full well that coming into the day that they were on the chase, but then they realized Buga and Mira went down a little bit early in that end game, as did Peterbot and Byla, and they took full advantage of it as well. We can see them right here in the end game, playing their game perfectly. They find themselves in a position on the low ground to where they can show off their mechanics, show off their teamwork, and it worked so well. And now, I believe we can see them in the 4th place position on day number 2.
Yeah, and we kept talking about all these north pulling zones and what some of these top teams were able to do while the zones were continuing pulling north. But once you get that zone that favors you, that's almost a must-win situation for Acorn and Edgy. Even though they didn't necessarily win it, they won in the sense of they just bumped up a lot of points, giving themselves more of a cushion to work with.
A team that went down just a little bit, though, was Buga and Miro. And although they did kind of have a struggle towards the mid to late game there, I think Buga was down at half health for 3 zones right there. They were actually able to last a lot longer than I thought they were.
I mean, that's the name of the game for this duo. They will never go down without getting, it seems like, at least 20 points. I mean, this is actually phenomenal. I have no idea how they do so good in the Storm Surge category, because Mini broke it down in the middle of that game. They use that rift down there, and they land even like further south than you would think, right? With a northern pulling zone coming up to the center of the map, they don't even decide to go for it. They're like, no, listen, this is what we're used to. We're going to still stay all the way down here to the south, but still, I think when the first Storm Surge warning popped, they were like 300 above. I'm just like, where did you get all that damage from? And then again, coming into the end game, they had 0 eliminations.
And honestly, a lot of people in the community might be thinking, like, what happened to Buga and Mira? Why are they moving their drop spot? I think that is just calculated play coming out of them. They're giving up most of Chonkers, going south, like you said, using the rifts, coming right back. So they didn't really change up their drop spot too much. All they really changed was their plan.
And one thing that changed in that game that we didn't get to see yesterday is a more southern zone, but I say southern because it was in the middle of the pack, and one of the teams was kind of complaining about it was Kanata and Agers, and we did see they had a better performance in that game.
Yeah, just a little bit better. We saw Agers going down to that pistol that you talked about before. Kanata still showing that he has the gusto to kind of pull out those points as a solo, but I will say this is Duo FNCS Finals day number 2. Those solo plays are great, very, very entertaining, but enough is enough. It's time for them to outlast everybody else as a team.
5 games left. I believe the gap between 1st and 10th was about 60 points, and that can close very quickly, so we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, and you know, we had a lot of northern zones. We also had a mid zone, but now I'm asking for a southern zone right now. Game 8, let's do it.
Game 8.
When the day began, it was looking like a two-horse race. All of a sudden now, so many others have entered into the competition. I mean, this track is loaded.
Absolutely. It's all about the catch-up now inside NAE State number 2. And let's get right to it, Monster.
Let's jump on that battle bus. Let's get on with it. It's game number 8 here. What has been an incredible kickoff to our NAE's finals. I mean, already the standings, the leaderboards the teams are looking at, it's feeling like an iconic day already.
Absolutely. Vivid already mentioned it from first all the way down to 10th. Jacob, too. 60 points of a difference. It's very, very close, and that can quickly get caught up in the next 5 games. You mentioned, too, $692,000 on the line. There's a few hundreds in there, too. There's some mathematics, but these players are focused on the points.
That's right. I mean, because the points at the end of the day are going to equal out to your money. And what's really cool about the pricing breakdown is that, hey, you can earn so much more, and you'll see it as we start getting closer and closer to game 12. Those little bits of big performances are going to jump you up so much more, and it's going to mean so much more. But of course, to get there, you have to win your early game fight. So again, we get to see these struggles, these same exact areas. These are going to be our early game entertainment, if you will.
Absolutely, and for them, whoever wins, it's about the power and loadout. It's one of the only times where you can really analyze what weapons people have. Casker had the right position. Him and Nico finally winning off the spot in record fashion. It's a lot more of a struggle city nation for them usually. It's all good, it's all fine. Nawson, we just saw, get second place in the last game, also contested up against Naves and Aaron. They have the most cinematic fights, I feel like, across the entire map in different locations. It's like watching a movie from day 1 to day 2. This time, there's a pause on Aaron's arc and storyline. Nawson rises all the way to the top.
At this point, I wonder if they just say, you know what? We're going to fight at this building now. Yesterday it was on the coast or the side of the mountain. Now it's just here at this exact area in this building. So it's very interesting how this team continues to clash into one another regardless of what strategies they decide to employ. That's what happens, though, because as you start to realize their draw spot, I mean, there's not a lot of loot here for multiple teams to split up and break apart. This is one of those situations where you quite literally have to beat the team to get access and gain access to the rest of the loot path.
Yeah, there's not even a trap you can put down to gain that access against the other team. It's a very adaptive type of fight. Sometimes builds get railed up all across the top of this house like they are in this game. Other times it's a low ground fight. So mix of both on this one. Aaron just trying to survive. You're wondering why he's clapping back. He has no builds to be able to actually play any defense here. He has a sword, but does not have a shield. Bryce has a mix of both for the moment, going on the chase down, but doesn't want to commit too far, too hard, because, yeah, he's winning against Aaron. It's a different conversation if Naves gets involved and it's a 2v1. No matter how many builds he has, he's not going to be able to handle that pressure.
Austin gets hurt there. He has to back up, use the 1 mini that he had left in the inventory. Will he double back to Bryce here? Looks like it. Bryce is going to go ahead and play support to his teammate as he swings around the outside. But once again, it just brings up that conversation. This team kind of have to end the battle, because if they don't have access to that extra loot. There it is. They absolutely needed it. The siphon, the materials, what they had left, all swings into their favor. And look at that. They get to upgrade their SMG as well. So it was very much worth it.
Very genius from Nawson as well. Sacrifices about 110 HP to be able to place 2 pre-edited walls. It gives his teammate from the backside access to deal as much damage as possible. Bryce was there, and he landed every shot that needed to. Just wraps up that fight. One of the best things, too, is not just winning your POI, but saving a lot of time while you're doing it as well.
Notice Booga and Miro get the equivalent of a half vault there, which is very, very important. Kept emphasizing why they're giving up half of their drop spot, but, you know, the trade is, you know, they get early access to the vault. They get to rotate from there to Condo Canyon or back down the coast and take literal pick and choose who they want to farm for tags and possibly fights.
Yeah, for a lot of these top teams, Fashion Pamsel included, they're going to trade off risk and bigger chances of items for consistency. Yamzo Jamper, this is 5th versus 6th. Avery Commandment landing right beside them. They're going all in with a risk. A little bit of a surprise. They know exactly how Avery moves. This is what happens after your review on day 1. Waiting for them to come so straight to this rock. This is a little bit of a part of the early game. You want to farm up all your mats. These rocks give you so much brick. You're usually taking about all of them as well. The smart thing for Yamzo Jamper is they're all the way on the far rock. There's not too much to be able to build over here. Usually you're by yourself too. There comes a surprise. Avery on the right side. They have a pinch on him now too. Instantly down. Jamper had the next shot landing in. Commandment has to be mad about this one. He has such a long way to go. You waste so many builds going back there too. This was genius from Yamzo and Jamper, and it worked out perfectly.
Not only that, if you clip that moment, Yamzo intentionally steps past Avery there to box him in. Before he even realizes he's getting pinched, they are ahead, literally multiple steps ahead.
Absolutely, and Avery has to turn around, look at Yamzo, and react to his building. Jamper, free shots to the back. That's absolutely amazing.
That was the perfect execution of an ambush, I think, that we've seen on the day. Yesterday, we saw an attempted one at the north side. It flopped. It flopped. Oh, in the end, the team on offense did end up winning, but that was an excellent execution here. Meanwhile, Byla and Peterbot here, put yourself in their shoes. They were in the lead by so much, 20, almost 30 points there. They come into game one. They drop the ball, and now all of a sudden they are just neck and neck with Pamsto and Fatch here.
Yeah, they were taking a few more risks overall. I talked about that versus consistency. They're staying in the zone, taking their time, weren't really pushing forward and doing as much active work as we saw on day one in the early game. As a result, they were a little bit later to get in. Mac with threats. They had that drop down, but yeah, Fatch and Pamsto just wanted it more. I feel like they have a fire under their feet right now.
The most difficult part, realistically, is everyone has to stay consistent. As we all know, it is very, very hard to do with the ever-evolving nature of Fortnite. The zones, the players, the loot, the loadout, right? Like, how can you continue to stay consistent? That's the hard part. That's the most difficult question to answer day in and day out. As Clix and Duke here are eyeing up teams, they see what seems to be an abandoned base in the distance there. They're trying to feel out where can they find some tags. OMG, Me Too, and Shonye, they have this draw spot on lock here. They understand how to play it out. We saw Kanata and Agers fall victim to OMG, Me Too, and Shonye when they were hovering around a little too long and OMG, Me Too rotated on their heels. They will not let a team escape them, and that's kind of their strong suit, if you will. So you do have to be careful.
They're trying to attract any players to see them as well with those geysers. Slash and Clarity might be doing the same thing with these overall slipstreams around and the silos available. Peterbot and Byla don't need these types of gimmicks and distractions. They can just go straight for a team. A nice box fight. But for users, Skuga, they might want that. They like it when fights get slightly dirty and a little bit scrappy on the low ground. Peterbot, they're edging forward to it, but they want to have it at a perfect time.
And they might be thinking, because they saw a chest to the right, hey, wait a second, these guys might come out and actually go for that loot too. Does seem like they just finished up an elimination. There's some loot around. It's clear that the builds are just getting there. So they are trying to set up another ambush here. Here it is. The opportunity to open up. Oh my, it's not looking good for you users. And he gets boxed up so quick, he can't even react. Byla is already in there, and it's over before he can even call for help from Skuga. Skuga does put some shots down, but it's not going to be enough. He has lost his teammate as quick as a flash there in that moment. It's over. Notice the team to the north turns and burns. They're out. They said, oh, that's Byla? Later. I'm out of here. They left that team immediately.
Match number 8 out of 12, a game of traps and trades. That's exactly what's going on right now. Every single team is just setting things up. They're learning from that first day. They're interrupting people doing their daily duties.
Now let's talk about this. For the first time today, we get a southern, actually, scratch that. The first time in 2 days, southern zone. Aegis Kanata get to get in there. Booga Miro get to be in this zone as well. The problem here lies now for Pamsto and Fatch, the northernmost landing team of all the teams inside the top of the standings. But not only that, they have the pressure of being in first place currently. We have yet to see them overcome the hurdle in this final settings where the lobby pulls this far south.
Literally, the first place team has the longest rotation to make. They have to be on their feet 24/7 and deal damage and farm and make sure they're safe. So, yeah, for a team like that, Monster, you're correct. This will be a very tough game. And Kelly asked for a south zone. Are we in the desert? Kind of. It's a little bit towards that top right side. That first place team will be thanking the zone lords for making it pop right there. A bunch of everyone else will also have to adjust and move towards the right. I think the entire team was waiting for things to go to the desert. Rokan and Dubs, kind of that same type of situation. Talking about Pamsto and Fatch, though, I want to see exactly how they're making this rotate. I'm tossing Mini right into the game.
I'm in the game, and so are Pamsto and Fatch. They're in the South Zone game at the moment. How are they going to overcome this obstacle? Of course, they've had so many North Zones, as you guys mentioned, and this is where things get a little bit difficult. They're getting as many tags as they possibly can on this sort of west side of the Daily Bugle. But interestingly enough, they're actually rotating to the east side of Daily Bugle. They're playing for the dead side. They're wanting to try and get as little eliminations, as little action as possible on this rotate, just trying to use as many of these tags as possible, and interestingly, trying to get dead side instead of the central.
All right, Monster, hold on to this imaginary rope.
I got
ready?
it.
Pull.
I'm pulling.
We got to pull Mini out of the game.
Oh my god.
Too many facts. Too many facts. Now we know exactly what Pamsto and Fatch are about. We were talking about risk and consistency. They're keeping things very cool. They want to be invisible this game.
All right, Minnie, in the meantime, learn how to swim. We don't want to pull you out. Again, we want to make sure you swim right on over to us. Byla and Peterbot are floating right now, casually holding out Skakuga here. We already saw him pick up that elimination. They're just hoping to get that second extra. Let's watch the highlights go down here. Commandment and Avery find themselves against Golden and AV inside the storm line, deep outside the safety of the area, and it does seem like they managed to find Golden there. Shots go in, Commandment gets punished, but they do finish up that team. Very good for them.
Yeah, it looks like they're the ones actually hounding for that fight, but I guarantee Golden and AV were doing something sneaky inside the zone. These guys are like bounty hunters every game, taking out a top team. This time, though, Commandment and Avery stopped them. This means there's more of those top fives alive. Avery and Commandment take over as well. And this is also kind of surprising. It's going to be huge for Avery to get this elimination. We just saw that trap entire play go down. So Avery's now back in the game. Yamzo Jumper will have their damage. They can move out, but yeah, they have to catch up on time.
What's different for them, though, right now, they have so much to overcome at this point that probably was the best case scenario for them. The fact that they can actually get eliminations onto 2 players, because more often than not, when you lose your teammate that early, it's over. You are so far behind a Storm Surge, you are quite literally in a position to be defeated.
Yeah, in terms of items too, when one of your teammates is down, the reason why it's so tough to be able to win the game, have more power when you pick him back up, when you reboot him back into the game. They have no inventory right now. Chewy's going to be in that perspective in just a sec if Jack and Nosh keep this up. That zone is moving way far away. So has a whole minute to catch up to where safety is. That's going to be good for Nosh and Jack, because that puts, you know, Chewy under a timer. But if he lands shots like that, you couldn't even see the shot on your screen. That's how fast it was. Pixel accuracy, inhuman speed. And Chewy, he's not stopping the pressure.
Trying to work his way down now. Knows better. Switches the angle there. Hits a good shot onto the down body. This puts pressure onto Jock to go ahead and play for the pickup. And now he has to make the decision to let Nosh fall. He will just pick up the loot instead and play for the reboot later into the lobby here. Now, there are options, but the real question is, will he just completely disengage or try to play for the finish of this fight? Nope, he wants to finish the fight. That's what Chewy wants to do here. So the battle will continue. Another great angle from Chewy. Talk about unpredictable, standing on the ledge of a floor edit there. He just seems to be ahead of Jock here. I'm not sure, but he's working the situation really nicely right now.
Jock knows when to shoot, but where is the question that he's not going to be able to answer, at least with the first 3 shots. Chewy's weird angles is making Jock's shotgun not actually fire correctly, it seems like. Chewy now, though, will go on the maximum aggression. This time, it actually does hit. That's what we were waiting for. When Jock actually lands his Marcus target, my man hurts. He's inside Chewy's builds for the moment, though, or another team maybe that's been around here, as both players can't really edit any box at all. So this is Chewy interrupting a fight. Jock and Nosh might have not actually wanted this one to actually go down after the fact, but this is happening right now. A big risk. I don't think a reward for either team, though.
Yeah, that shows us that Chewy also picked up the reboot card of his teammate as he ran back over that loot pile there. So he is very much back in the game. He has decision and options here. He does not have to completely finish this fight if he didn't want to. He goes for the piece control, but Jack was quicker with the floor there. Ramp behind him, another phase through, and now he's all inside enemy builds. Again, grabs that wall. He's playing very, very cleanly, but the shots need to connect first. Can he outsmart our previous FNCS champion from just a couple seasons ago here? So far, so good, but the pressure's on, and the big shot from Jock on the other side of the wall is looking very nicely here. He has time to heal, but it doesn't matter. The Storm will do the rest for him, and just like that, he will be successful.
Chewy had the rhythm, unfortunately could not find the base. No type of shot on a Jack, no response on the misses either. Very well, very resilient for the boy. He's going to be able to just pick up his teammate, keep moving. Hopefully we'll see Nosh in the game. Avery, though, looks like this man was never knocked out of this round. He is just active, landing every single burst fire shot that he can. Commandment, big on him for getting him back into the game. Their ammunition also looking really good. Panada and Adrian's going to be in their sightlines next.
Impressive elimination from Byla in the feed there again as well. They are making up for lost time, showing us that they're completely not okay with falling in that last game.
Yeah, I talked about a catch-up for the rest of the lobby in this game. Everyone kind of has inspiration to get towards top 5. The top 5 teams as well, they have been struggling a little bit. I feel like outside of just Fatch and Pamster, who are looking like stars today, they also have a chance to get back into the groove right here. 17 and Cold used to being there, at least by this point on day 2. They'll look to catch up.
This zone also, I just want to say, works very, very well for players like Clix and Duke. whom, by the way, land just to the east of this general area here. So they should be A-okay as far as their overall position goes. Meanwhile, teams that have to rotate in a little later, much worse position to be in, like Edgy and Acorn here.
Yeah, Edgy and Acorn kind of tough. Must play a foul also going down. Some updates on that previous fight. Jack could not make that huge storm rotate either. So you're right, Monster. A lot of these further out teams who want to play towards that edge side, they're going to be running into a lot of traffic from a lot of boxes. Fashion Pamsto, though, I'm not sure which highway they took. Lanes are free. Everything looks like it's that diamond lane. I'm not sure if they have that in the U.S. where you have like 2 people and you can ride faster.
We got 6 lanes in Texas, brother.
Okay,
we're our own country.
It's nuts.
Take a look at this, though. Pamsto and Fatch, I mean, you talk about lanes and vehicles that play. No, they took the boat. They're still on the beach over here. Chubbs and Jackson, though, in the struggle of a situation here. Teammate down. Jackson gets finished. After the big last game, they will fall here a bit earlier than they would have liked, but they have jumped themselves so far up. They really have a chance here to play for top 10 as the day continues on. Talk about a surge of confidence as well. If you take home a victory royale, it's definitely something not to overlook, especially on a day 2 performance. So here we have it, though. Pamps and Fatch have to make the move.
This is just really interesting at a definite cost right now. We were just mentioning highways, and now there was, you know, a little bit faster and free. The big thing about them, though, if you look at their loadout in just here in a sec, get the replay real quick. Spade and Chimp popping off. Unfortunately, not going to be that good for them, even if, though, they're getting that first elimination for the moment. Shadow's going to be just too much to handle inside the storm.
That puts them in top 10. That's a very big set of eliminations there. They were in the storm that entire time, so the Siphon's going to keep at least Shadow alive for now, but no Walkers here. Walkers was asking me on social media earlier, hey, hype me up. You guys are doing good. You're going to have to continue to step up here. This will ultimately come down to Shadow if he can clutch up at this point to keep them inside the top 10.
It's really tough to do it from the force zone. Then out of ages, you talk about catch-up. They definitely need to now get all the way up towards that 200-point threshold. Top team started at 190 right now. They're about 50 almost points behind. But we know about these guys. It's big swings. It's 2 crucial games each and every day. To win the FNCS, they're going to need at least 4 today.
That is right. 4 big games as well, or 2 monstrous games like Kanata and Adra to just keep you somehow in the conversation. So anything can surely happen, especially after you see Game 7's early upset of Peterborough and Bali falling, giving us much more of a conversational point to work with here, because now this tournament is really wide open here for the taking. Anyone inside this top 6, top 7 position can surely be in that conversation to take this entire weekend home. The biggest cut from the $692,000 prizing is still available. We're just moments away as we work our way through these games here. Game 8. My gosh, we've had so much Fortnite here. Miro and Booga, take a look at this. Above the surge threshold, and they don't care. They want to continue to fight. Miro looking for the side angle. There's a reason he led on eliminations, not only yesterday, but season after season. They work together. They execute well. They find themselves a refresh there, and they're happy about that.
Timing crucial, too. The zone just coming in. They don't even take a lot of damage. Straight back to their bases. Miro looking for more friendly players that are running around, but doesn't find much. Everyone evenly spread out in the zone as well. I was talking about Fatch and Pamsto earlier. We'll tune right back in with them. There's been a cost for them to get to this spot, a toll on that highway, so to speak. They're not looking the best. Their ammunition not as high either. They haven't seen many teams, but it'll be Quad and Tabs G that might give them a little bit of that treasure they're after, the damage. It's enough to keep them above that threshold for now. They're still going to be taking a lot of punishment, though. Tabs G and Qua backed up against the walls. Pamsto and Fatch looking free for the moment. It's 3 teams side by side. If one makes a mistake, all go down.
What's crazy about this, they were happy with just a single tag and then he back up. They're like, all right, let's rotate. Let's focus on positioning now. We're not going to get hit for the surge for now, but we got to get in the key position to win this game.
So close, they almost even took over this entire base. Macwood and Threats so low up top. Yeah, they find more mats, huge mats as well. 300, 400 brick for Fatch. I'm not sure if that's a robbery from Macwood's base, but Bilo's right beside them too. Both teams neck and neck. They're pushing way back into the lead as well. Getting eliminations. Pamsto Fatch haven't been able to do that this game. Getting punished by Surge, it looks like, or some team in the lobby around them. What about Bila, though? Right back, and now both teams tied.
One of the worst positions to be in for sightlines, though. Bila's on this low level. They can see a slight exit to the right, but otherwise they'll have to take a box fight if they want to really find something here. And look, the options are in front of them. Duke, Clicks, Paper, Lawrence, 2 top 10 teams. That's no easy pick right now, especially if you're in first place.
First and second place for the moment, both the same cost to be here. Bad loot, no damage. They're moving from way far away to get to the spot at Shuffled Shrines. It's cost them their bread and butter. It's cost them loadouts for now. Clicks and Duke, though, they start the game closer towards the middle of the map.
Here it is.
They'll be looking at big forces to work with up against Peterbot and Viola. Yeah, I think that Peterbot and Viola might pack a little bit more of a punch going towards these boxes. We know their weapons just aren't as mythical, aren't as legendary. Viola now looking for a few shots. They're not going to find much to weave through these builds. Clicks and Duke just too evasive.
What's crazy is, I don't know, you were kind of leaning into Peterbot and Viola. I would never want to box fight Clicks, ever, especially if you have Storm Surge working against you, kind of forcing it. You know they're going to read the room perfectly. That could have ended so bad, but luckily things seem to have went in their favor a little bit here. Meanwhile, on high ground, Rex is looking okay. Macwood there too, but Commandment and Avery on the low ground doing what they do best, just racking up here 4 eliminations. They have not stopped the momentum that they picked up in the early game here. After Avery was saved, they have managed to turn this entire game all the way around.
Viola now down to one of those first place teams effective. It's Aviv that's in the business. D-Roller 2, Commandment. He's put Avery into the best positions, but can he survive the onslaught of punishment this game? Keeping up with him now as he leads the tarp. Commandment has to heal up. They'll be impeded on speed. Peterbot looking towards the back. He has to solo clutch, so every single elim, every single shot matters.
No Viola here, but he is above the surge. He manages to find just a couple tags. Meanwhile, on height, Day and Cease managed to maintain. They are back. Can they get a victory royale here to put them in that conversation? They managed to do so yesterday playing well, but Peterbot gets revenge on Aviv and then completely finished there by Avery and Commandment on the low ground. The circle comes all the way around and first place falls.
Makes the personal, goes down to business. Now for Bugha and Miro, it's all about profits. They want to keep making sure that they stay ahead of the competition in this game. 10 points slightly behind from that second place team. Do I see Pam still alive? Yes. Fatch nowhere close by, so his run actually is full HP. They're side by side. I'm just distracted by that low HP on Pamsto. 2 HP, he's still leaving that tarp. Fatch baiting him. Meanwhile, Bugha Miro in a much more confident position. They're way high looking for more traps and things to drop players into their builds. Beams all around, and it's Agers going down. Another top team affected.
Bugha and Miro starting to get active as well here. 3 eliminations, so much mats, much more to work with. Clicks and Duke looking well is here too, as they have mats, they have heals as well. They're starting to get ahead. Acorn is going to get punished here. No edgy in sight, crushed and out in top 4. And now Avery and Commandment have a chance to steal that spot away. They're at 5 eliminations. They're looking excellent. Kanata finds Acorn there, and now he goes for high ground. He peeks at it, but Cease and Day block him out.
Cease and Day, one of the most oppressive duels when they are on height, are doing magic. Meanwhile, the secret weapons, the spells cast for Commandment and Avery, they're not going to be active right now. They have no health to be able to work with and dip in and out of the storm. Miro and Bugha gonna have to position over D-Roller and take many beams and push him way down to the low ground, separated from his teammate. Thatch absolutely rained on. He will go down up in first place. To the third place team, 6th place team will catch up. The entire board can rise.
This is an opportunity now for Clicks here to jump back into things.
Commandment, though, he's going to just go down to the storm. Meanwhile, all the way up top, Blake takes down Day. He gets the full elimination, too, so height changes hands.
Height is going to be available for anyone to grab here. Cease is now by himself, a solo on high ground. That's not easy to maintain here. If one player figures it out, it's all over. Meanwhile, Miro and Bugha on the low ground now have a chance to take that first place spot here. Just a couple eliminations away here. Kanata continues to fight as well, just a single elim. We haven't seen him this inactive in so long, but hey, the end game, the placements are great. Bugha finds Rise. That's a big one. He needed that.
The weight of the world is on Cease's shoulders, though, as he's up on high ground all by himself. No one's noticed yet, and no team's really active high enough to take that spot. Clicks finally using that low ground to do what he does best, just win in every single box fight situation. Miro taking the long route. Bugha is going to just get rattled down by Duke up top. They control this low ground land, although they can't really breathe. They have to stay quiet, stay low. These guys are no strangers to these clutch-type situations.
Bugha will fall to the zone there, so Duke will ultimately get that siphon in the end. Kanata now by himself. Miro, 36 HP, turns on it, gets dropped by a 2-man operation from behind. And now it's 2-on-2 on the low ground. Solo up top and another in the mix.
Blake taking down Titans to work up his way on the board. Cease still undetected all the way on height. There's a few players around them, one of them being Kanata, that he can reach by and just touch to take out. Blake and Vert, though, they have the most momentum taken out. I would say a majority of players to get over to this point. Kanata, that's the last time you get to touch the zone. Need the siphon now. It's not going to be possible. Cease's damage will burn him dry.
Finally, because Cease needed that as well, and he will need the mass to maintain high ground. But TK on the low has been the disruptor of the lobby here. 8 eliminations. Finally survives the early game contested fight and will make his first appearance in an endgame. But Vert and Blake are trying to do that as well. From Condo Canyon now to the endgame. Duke versus Cease on height. Duke will hold it down here, and now it's his to win. He finishes out Cease, and now he's in control. Low ground is still in play, but those are all solos.
Eradicates leaders, and now there's a duo all the way up top. 2v2 situation. Blake and Vert, who've taken down every single obstacle in this game so far, and Clix and Duke finally breathing the air in the sky.
A win is on the horizon for Clix. Potentially here, 6 E-limbs. Can they make it 8? Or will Vert and Blake clutch up here in an unfashioned, uncalled for low ground turnaround? Here it is. They start to look up. It's looking like the classic days. That's how you got to play it. You got to play and fight back. Offense will win. In the end, Clix hits the shot, and he hits the other 2, and there will take it home.
Blake and Vert cannot stop the power that is Clix and Duke. What a shot from him. Going right down and facing him. Mano-y-mano. Doesn't need that height advantage. He'll take you on your lair. That's where he started too. I like that from the team. What a dynamic way to take height and win the game.
I mean, listen, one of the most asked for, the most requested perspectives is Clix and Duke, right? Everyone wants to know, how are they doing? Where are they? Are they winning? And look at that. Duke with the biggest play that he could have done this tournament so far. He took high ground.
Yeah, and it wasn't just flair. It wasn't just really hot action or the craziest shots, the best edits from Clix and Duke this time. It's what they've been building for 8 games so far that finally works. Patience.
There's something about when that Victor Royale music plays, it gets exciting here. Clix and Duke will take game number 1 or number 8 here, and they jump their way on up with the Victor Royale here inside, well inside that top 5 now, solidifying themselves a great spot.
A beautiful way to win in a new one from Clix and Duke. It's never that slow, it's never that methodical, usually so much more emotion packed into a performance like that, but that's what you like to see on NA East Evolution.
Yeah, definitely, and we have so much more developing here, so let's send it on over to our analyst.
Congratulations to Clix and Duke. You know that chat is popping off right now, but also Blake and Vert on the low ground run and Cease's solo high ground. Just so much happened in the end game there.
Oh, he tried so hard. I was excited to see Cease and Day on the high ground, right? We saw the victory route out of them yesterday, and after that, they didn't get much points. So I was like, oh, yes, they're going to start playing for this high ground more, and we're going to see them rise up the leaderboard. But unfortunately, he does go down a little bit early there. And finally, though, Jacob, look at that. We saw a South Zone. Booga and Miro, you know, they're finally happy. But another team that is happy, it's got to be Clix and Duke. This was right outside of the Jonases. A home field advantage. And listen, we got to say it. Clix fans rise, of course, because I feel like this is the first time we've seen them as a duo in the end game. And they show us why, if they get there as a duo, you have to look out.
Yeah, you're saying Clix and Duke got to be happy. Probably the thousands and thousands of people cheering them on as well, because they have to be the fan favorite. But that momentum I was talking about from the qualifiers bleeding through here in the actual finals, they are looking like one of the teams to beat. And I talked about Clix and his solo performances up until this point. 6 plays, they would have been down all the way to 20th, but Clix and Duke showing what they can do as a duo as well.
There's only 1 point separating first through third right now. That is absolutely crazy.
Wow, listen, I talked about it. It's going to be close all throughout the day. And honestly, that's on the back foot of some of these top tier teams not finding the consistency that we saw out of them yesterday. For example, Pamsto and Fatch. Now, yes, you know, they have the kind of fight for this lead that they do have. They still are in first place, but that gap, like Kelly mentioned, it's gone. There is none. There is a 0-point difference between them and second place. But still, this is one of those instances where we know that they land all the way to the north side of the map. So yeah, this was probably a little bit of a tougher zone for them. But listen, this is what the rest of the lobby has been dealing with, Pamsto and Fatch. You know what I mean? Like, it's time for you guys to kind of feel some of that wrath of some of these zones. But it's just phenomenal, right? We mentioned it time and time again. They can play any way they want to, Jacob, and it works.
Yeah, and I like the way they're just continuously adapting on the fly, because game number 1 yesterday, they only had a measly 5 points. That is absolutely nothing when you look at the leaderboard now. Since then, they have caught fire at the perfect time and are looking to take the top spot. They just need to hold on.
And Jacob, Your team right now, Agers and Kanata, slowly climbing up.
Yeah, we're climbing up that ladder. Hopefully they're not afraid of heights because they still got more climbing to do. But it's Kanata yet again. They're doing a great job rotating towards the end game as a solo. Agers, unfortunately, is dropping. But Kanata has taken that pressure, and he's becoming that shining diamond we know he can be.
Guys, only 19 points, though, between Clicks and Duke and first place. Honestly, they've been in this top 10, right? They came in today 6th place, and it was like, you know what, they're close. But now that these top teams have been kind of falling short a little bit in some of these end games, Clicks and Duke are like, hey, listen, we are here. We want a chance at this title.
And I think part of the reason why some teams might be falling a little short is due to the issues with Storm Surge. So obviously, we're going to have to break it down once more.
We have to, and honestly, it's just such a pivotal part of the game because it can decide whether you go down early, whether you go down late, and it all is on the back foot of some of these great positions that we see out of some of these teams, and Rise and Trashy are a great example of this. As you can see, we did have that sort of a southern zone. Now, I want you guys to pay attention right here. This is their position. They decide to build up, but then look at this. When the second zone comes in, all of these teams that are all around here, they all have to come directly to Rise and Trashy, and it just works so well. And then I also want to mention it's a genius spot because just to the south of them, there is also a river that teams love to use to rotate because you can swim a little bit faster than you can run.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about when the game prior, when it ended in a tilted zone. It's great to have those phenomenal performances where you're rotating left and right and you're taking the journey to the center of the circle, but you have to win those spots when it is your zone. They immediately realize it's pulling time and time again, just like Vivid pointed out, almost 400 above the damage threshold. What that means for them is when it starts to begin those rotating zones, they don't have to peek for shots. They can continue on trying to stay ahead of zone.
This is what IGLing is all about, Jacob. It's not just about making those endgame rotations. It is setting yourself up for success when Storm Surge mechanics are on the back of your mind. And right there, Rise and Trashy, alongside a lot of these other teams, had a great position to make sure they got into that endgame.
This has been such an incredible journey so far. From our first place team almost not making it and being the literal last team to make it through in the semifinals. Peterbot and Byla, the reigning champs, slipping out of that first place spot and second place spot, which is now taken over by Booga and Miro. And of course, the fan favorites, Clicks and Duke, slowly climbing up that leaderboard. Who's it going to be for this game? Well, our casters might have the answer to that.
Game 9.
The climb is steep on day 2's game number 3, and right now, Monster, a 3-way tie up top 2. It's too much to handle.
I'm thinking hard here. I don't know who's going to take it all the way. This is a very difficult position to be in if you're any of the players, because now what happens is you are left to answer the question, can you step up when the games are literally tied and your opponents are neck and neck?
Rise to the call. The pressure is going to be so high. A few of these teams are already used to that type of tie, but now it's real. It's halfway through the day. Your surprise type factor plays aren't going to be the most impactful. It's about being consistent and making sure that no matter what happens, you stay resilient, stay next to your teammate, and make it towards the end, all the way at the start zone. 3-way chest fight. Pickaxes up in the way. Burst rifle for elites, and he takes out both Caster and Nico in record time. That is the fastest Synapse fight I've seen so far.
That is definitely the quickest they've managed to complete this early game contested battle. But my question for the entire lobby, especially our top 10 card in the book, have you played every option, every strategy you have? Has it all been employed this weekend, or do you have something else? Are there anything hidden that you can reveal now to go ahead and solidify your final half? Because ultimately, in the end, we don't want to see any regrets. Look at this. Crispin Never5 jumped all the way to top 12. Can we just talk about how incredible that is, like, on its own? Granted, last game, Ritual and TK did make the end game.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 2 Elam points every single time. It is 50-50 contestation, so it's so tough, but they're doing so well with it. And it's not just one game where Ritual and TK make it all the way to the end, Monster. There's multiple times these guys have been in end games. So Never5 and Chris missing a bunch, but still making big money today.
Yeah, making some great placements so far. They have a real chance to go ahead and earn something substantial. But hold up. Let's get to Bryce and crew up top. They're at 90 points or so right now. Not too bad. All things considering, almost approaching the middle of the pack for the tournament. And again, just keep in mind, if you're seeing some new names and faces, a lot of these guys are making their first FNCS appearance here today. Naves and Aaron, of course, being in that conversation. Bryce and Austin, you know, they've been here. They've been around this rodeo once or twice. Maybe that's why they're leading in points currently. But still, a great day of celebration, a weekend worthy of note. Let's take a look at Bryce now. He's managed to turn this fight around in his favor.
His tracking is so precise even midair. He'll try to heal up, put all the pressure on an Austin. He's going to be able to handle it for now. Naves in the air, want to get right back into this house, find a little bit of a space of defense. Ooh. But look at Austin with the pull as well. You cannot run, you can't hide when this duo has you in their sights.
This is what you show up for. Pick up your highlights, pack them up, and take them in the luggage to go. Nasid will be able to do just that. Nicely done and executed there. I'm sure he'll be happy to watch that one back later. Users Eskakuga managed to stretch out their early game contested fight against Tahi on the other side of the wall alongside Bank there. And this has kind of been the story of day 2. They've really slowed down the action here at the Loot Lake. So with that, let's jump over to Tragics and Dom, a team that has also been fighting in the early game, but this time here on the western side. You can see it was a huge shot. This is on to Crisp. We were just celebrating how well they were able to play, but they didn't see this coming. This is why I talked about what other plays you have up the sleeve. That's one of them.
Yeah, the big thing about these early game fights is that I get it. You know, you can win them and get used to them. And they do give you points. They also make a lot of noise, and other teams can rock in who are struggling on the boards and pick you up right after the fact. So you have to be fast on time, move out, also win the fight. It's almost impossible every time you're contested. Still very impressive if teams do rock in. And once again, the tie up top, 212 points for 2 teams. And past that, Peterbot and Bila 1 point behind.
Absolutely incredible to have them this close in points here. I couldn't have called Bugha and Miro jumping back up as fast as they managed to do it in just 3 games. Better. But look at that. That is the story here. And then you have, again, Clicks and Duke, who have managed to jump up there as well. Just somehow, some way, 193. The huge win last game puts them way inside this chance here to do something huge. But let's take a look at the leaderboard for average placement. Not only have they managed to find elims, these teams have been so consistent. All of our top 5. Peterbot and Bila having the worst average placement, but somehow maintaining much of a better score off of just elims alone. So I don't know which way it's going to swing today.
Yeah, it's their day 1 setup, so we're just having so much success in hunting down people mid-game, having enough elims and refreshes to start their end games hot. And at the end, if you're picking up elims, it's going to be huge to keep boosting up your placement. It's just a very risky strategy, so you might lose out on a few games. The start of today, Peterbot and Bila just haven't made it too deep and towards the end game, so gotta make sure you're there every single time. Mem and Avery, a nice try for a comeback last time. It bumps them up and keeps them in 5th. It might feel like they haven't moved anywhere, but to hold your spot, you have to have impressive games back to back to back as well.
Well, actually climbed up just a little bit. Remember, Jamper and Yamzo were above them, and last game should have been the end of Avery. He was taken out early with the, of course, that ambush plan. They turned that into an end game. I don't know how they did it. We're going to have to go back into the footage there and review that one, because just talk about an incredible comeback. Talk about being resilient and playing extremely smart and executing when it matters. Miro and Bugha playing the ocean side right now. This seems to be a really tough spot that they're in. Not only were Costa and Zeus somewhat ready for their strategy, I think they've adjusted after the last 3 games here.
A lot of the times, Costa and Zeus, the people who are fighting and shooting Miro and Bugha right now, will choose to stay very, very north in this desert, look to go towards the next zone. When the desert pulls a zone, when it's towards the south side, they can explore more, come down to Bugha and Miro's home and take the fight to them. So that's exactly what they do. The game plan for Bugha and Miro will have to switch. They'll have to move down, right, and try a different way to play Fortnite this time. Yamzo Jamper also can't really surprise much people at the Rave Cave. They'll be moving way past them a lot faster too. Every time there's a south zone on the map, the majority of POIs will be changing and moving faster. A lot of them are a bit more mid-map and higher inside the map. So here it is, down and right puts Bugha and Miro up against Blake and Vert. If they do manage to take them out and put down pressure, that'll slow down the whole lot.
This game is looking like the revenge of the teams that Miro and Bugha have been farming for surge tags as they've all collapsed inwards towards this general area of Chonker Speedway. Look, and the zone is here, so there's no reason for Zeus or Costa to go, but Miro makes a mistake, hits the tire there, loses all his shield, and now forced into his metal. He tries to get to the build to survive himself as Ghost Blake and Vert also sweep around the side. That's going to turn into something very, very interesting here shortly.
Sometimes it's good to have a home zone, but if you can't leave home and you're just trapped, seeing the same things every day, you can't even go outside, can't do much in terms of living your life. It's going to be tough for Bugha and Miro to move out of Chonkers and stay safe.
Edging Acorn farming tags onto Cold, but let's get back to the action that matters here. Our first place team of Bugha and Miro. Now, defensively positioned here inside the building. Also notice how much they had to heal. They are in the worst position we've seen them since game 1 of yesterday's kickoff. Bert's going to find a couple tags. Not enough to really initiate anything here. He doubles back to the side in another angle. And it's like Miro's just letting his guard down and being outsmarted right now. This is, again, the first time they've had any kind of resistance like this.
I like that follow-up with the tire, too. This is so different for Bugha and Miro, though. I just don't think, with how most of these games are going, pulling up north that first day, as you mentioned, Monster, the patterns they were used to. They're not expecting this much of so many teams moving right to them and taking revenge, as you said. Trashy and Rise, though, now in their natural habitat. Is this their final comeback game?
True that. There's an opportunity here for them to jump back into this. You only have 3 big games.
They were a second-place team, Monster, on day 1 at one point.
They were definitely playing consistent. Today's been somewhat of a struggle for them. Falling a bit early is again, that momentum that you lose out on can change your mentality. And, you know, a lot of these fights may feel insignificant because players can heal back up, but think about how much time you lose, that you have to rebuild your material counts. Get a little lucky and find more shields and health to take into the later games as well. It's not that simple. As you start to slip behind, it really becomes more and more difficult as that clock rages on in that bottom right corner. Hamster and Fatch, you see, also positioned in first place because, again, they are completely tied here coming into game 9. This has been a 2-day tournament. I want to encourage you all as well. Just check out the past games. Yesterday's first 6 were incredible.
Absolutely. It's where some of these teams built up their base onto how they are today. Some crucial moments on day 1 might be the reason Pam so fast, Peter about Bila. A lot of the teams who are trying to come back to might just end up winning. Lawrence and Paper were very good in the first half of the first day's games and denying pressure, picking up a few mid-game elims. And right now, when there are box fights available, they're some of the stickiest players that deal the most damage. So hard to take out. Seems like they have more HP than everyone else. They take so much punishment and just don't go down.
Paper and Lawrence have really been reaching for the stars here. They've managed to continue to stay consistent enough to remain inside the top 10. Meanwhile, Bang and Tahi survived their job. They're walking up. They got Aviv and Donnie inside. Aviv and Donnie, although they have been playing quite the crazy weekend here, they're at 4 teams really pulling it all together.
There's no way this works. There's just no way. It's like I'm watching a cinematic Fortnite trailer for a new item, you know what I mean? That type of thing, just crouching up right next to a big base. Tahi Bank finally discovered, though, Aviv and Donnie, they don't get fooled.
You know, sometimes people probably look at the trailers like, no, where do you get this gameplay from? It never looks like that for me.
From the FNCS,
yeah. You haven't tuned into an FNCS yet. The clips come directly from here. These are the fun moments that you wait for, that you tune in for. Aviv and Donnie get punished, though. A big shot there, armored wall. The most crucial of defensive items get used, and they only have a single one left, so Donnie wants to branch out, give himself a little more room to work with. Bank and Tahi start to slow down now. Didn't really anticipate Chimp and Spade to walk into this fight, but now a little too many teams here, so they do have to be careful on this disengage.
Right now, we're talking about so many top teams. One that we failed to mention is Aegis and Kanata. Where are they? Well, I found a magical map, and I'm going to hand it over to Mini Miner. What are they up to, Mini?
They're in zone. Hallelujah for this team. They've actually pulled a zone. Thankfully, it's a south zone, and this is what I want to look at. How are they adapting? How have they changed their strategy? Of course, they're no longer in a north zone. It's now a south zone. It's right in their back garden. They're actually using this really, really well. They're using the natural elevation that Greasy Grows offers, of course, with those buildings, and, of course, with the mushrooms that are nearby as well. Trying to tag as many teams and players around as possible. Getting that Storm Surge done as early as possible. What else I noticed was Kanata and Aegis are actually split up whilst doing this. Although they are, you know, in the zone, in this south zone, they're still splitting up, trying to maximize the tags that they can get, whilst just being really, really close to each other, but not quite in the same box.
They have the zone, they control space, they control time, and are dealing so much damage. Thank you, Mini, for the magic. At the same time, though, Monster, it's a very good point he makes. The fact that they have zone, their biggest weakness has been rotations. The fact that they don't have to rotate is going to be huge. And right now, Miro and Bugha up against one of their late game weaknesses looks to be Clix and Duke, and the fact that they play those same layers. And they're right beside each other on the boards as well. They'll go head-to-head, but won't actually resolve the fight.
And it's crazy, though. You have Dom and Tragix, a bubble team on the outskirts, Knifer and D-Roller, a team that has nothing to lose listening to this go down as well. And that is probably the worst concoction of teams that you have around you, because you effectively open yourself to everything that's inside the melting pot, all in one spot. Teams at the bottom, the middle, and the top, each of them will react differently, so you have all those elements. That's such a Such a tough spot to be in, but on over to Panther and Thatcher. We're also in a desperate situation now. 130 damage below the surge here. They will have to heal. You have a lot to sustain, but so many players will have to fall here. They're very far from safety. They will have to fight shortly, but the rotate matters. 20 seconds in order to find some tags. Otherwise, they will be forced into a box dive situation.
Don't want to have that. Or maybe they do, because that first game, they really jumped right in. Heard about Abila's box. Might be trying to set up a trap. Maybe this was the answer last time. They were low on surge. Thing is, though, they're really good at interrupting a third party, or just being a third party, interrupting a fight and having that type of situation. Right now, for Pump and Teo, Pamsto fakes right, follows him towards the backside. He's gonna try to impede him towards the box. There's so many teams in the same situation. Inside Storm from 100 damage now down to 223. This is going to be desperation. Fatch deleted, taken out. The pressure of the tie. Too much to handle. They don't move as fast as the previous games. Pump denied access to Pamsto's body for even more shots, but it's just a matter of time before he goes down. Surge on one side, 2 players on the other. They're following. There's just no chance.
Fatch actually hit a huge shot right now. He might have just taken out the player down low. He does. Teo is hurt. Pump is now left with nothing. It was close, but not close enough as Pump finished it off. For a moment there, I thought he was going to be able to do it. Pamsto will fall to the hands of Cold there with the big tag. And all of a sudden now, Pamsto and Thatcher, French-Canadian favorites, are out of the competition for now, sent back to the lobby. That will hurt. They will have to sit in pain right now as they wait it out. And they have now lost the chance to break away or keep up with the lead of the others. Duke and Clicks are happy about this. They will have an opportunity now to close that 10 or 15 point gap or so.
I mean, you talk about it and they just flicked from 3rd to 4th place. So they have that chance to rise up. The thing is, though, they really want to make sure they do it patiently. There are some people running out of patience at a time. Jack takes down Bila.
Bila's gonna fall here. That's gonna definitely spell a story for us if he gets the full finish, but for now it's just a knock. Meanwhile, Duke has a problem. 2 teams left and right, not too far away from safety. Clicks is gonna lose all his HP. Gold is gonna come in and drop him, and now another team inside the top 5 has issues on the horizon here. Clicks gets finished. Duke is by himself. Can he pull the story off? Can he pull the clutch? But no! Gold will win that as well in a 2v1. Narwhal's not even here to back him up. He just finishes off.
Clicks and Duke. That's who he finished. That's just so big from Gold. Huge shots. Way deep in 30th place team, affecting someone in the top 5. And that's 3 teams back-to-back who were tied, who were so close to podium status, who had it, who could have ran away with it, away from the competition, just stopped in their tracks.
At this point, where is Booga and Miro? How well are they positioned to do something with this game? Because last we tuned in, it was not looking good. They were next to Clicks and Duke, and every other type of team you can ask for outside the Chonker Speedway making their way to this rotate in this zone. Teams being Vert and Blake, Knife for D-Roller, and then, of course, the rest. For Edgy and Acorn, though, they're under pressure here.
Definitely under pressure, but they have not had a window like this. We'll tune into the other side, the opposition, as to how they're looking at Acorn and Edgy. And I'm looking at them, too. This is the game that they can climb back. Armored wall pressure from Tahi and Bank. They're desperate. Here's a second one. Here's 10 more seconds of farming. I don't think you guys have the time for this one. The zone's starting to tick for 5. On the left side is Tahi, trying to break into the box once again, but it's metal wall. It's not going to be possible to rain through. 1 taken out. Kazoo Fishing going for the next challenge again. That's so much loot. Another POI that they can basically just grab off the ground in terms of a loadout. And as he takes it away.
And the most important thing, they actually pick up 4 more armored walls there. So all the armored walls they used was great, but they get to get even more. Take a look at the replay, one of the most important ones. This is where Bila is down. Peterbot gets chased down, 6 HP, and then finished to the hands of Jock and company there, swinging their way to that other side.
We were focusing on the top 5, but it's time to flip the coin and look at the other side of the top 10 right now, because now everyone from 5th to 10th has a chance to rise up. Make it forward towards that 200-point spot. We just saw one team, Acorn and Neji, have that window and dive straight past the Pain, Commandment, and Avery. They've taken lots of bludgeoning, punishment. Now they can also rise.
Booga, Commandment, Avery, Acorn, Edgy are all the teams in the run right now to continue to rise here. Meanwhile, Ghost, Blake, and Vert survived that early game rotate. Vert's extremely hurt here. They're trying to actually see what they can muster up as far as the loot goes. There's not much, though. Nothing found, not even worth it.
Look at the stretch they have as well to make. Every time we've seen the team in this position, I mean, just saw Pamso and Fashion one, they didn't make it. Pitabon and Bala as well, same situation, did not make it. Dix and Duke, same type of stretch. That 70-meter, 100-meter type of run you have to make. Even if you're the most healthy in first place, it's tough. Vert's at 1 HP. He can't actually back up now. It's only move forward.
At this point, Vert, just drop your mats for Blake and let him grapple to the new zone, because you are running out of plays right now. It's not looking good. Miro and Bugha have eyes on this team here. This is revenge in full. You rotate into us, well, now we get to rotate in front of you and hold you out here.
Not even that. You take us out a few games ago. You deal damage to our bodies towards the end as well. That next game, we're hunting you down. Miro and Bugha, one of the best spots to be in. High can't really focus on for now. Once again, the entire lobby even. There isn't that much congestion in any box. If you're not on Surge, you don't have the options of a desperate box fight. Everyone in Metal 2, so you're not going to be able to beam any walls. It's just Jack who has the opportunity for one right now. And with Nosh by his side, there will be trades inside the box, so maybe we'll reign supreme in that one for now. It's the only fight really happening. Acorn and Edgy also part of the business, so 6th and 4th, two teams that really want to just stay away from each other and rise together are forced to clash.
Commandment will find another elimination as well in the meanwhile. Jeffrey Yamzo, though, I mean, they're playing with house money here. They don't have much to work with. No shields, no HP, and much less in the inventory compartment. Meanwhile, Avery and Commandment have managed to find their refreshers here to position up in the mid game, and they're inside the zone. They're just above the surge threshold. Just 5 players here separate them from safety. But they're still looking. They're not content with being in this position just yet.
The question is, from everyone else who's left in the top 10, who wants to be first? Bugha and Miro still on the board, but everyone else is frozen in time. Asian and Kanata will not have an answer to that question this game. Once again, taken out before even getting to half and half. Kevin Avery up against Jack, and so many other players up inside their own boxes are having their own party overall. Taco, Chewy, he has to watch his friend go down. That's just tragic and unfortunate. Horrible to watch. 50 damage below that surge. Just need one more shot, but not, and Chucky will not allow it to happen for free. Absolute disaster for so many teams everywhere. Ghost and Blake finally go down. DT rise and Trashy from 10th place. This might be their comeback story.
This is really the story of the bubble teams. The opportunity to get back into the conversation and hop your way on into top 10 as we are approaching the final games of the NAE's finals weekend here. 2 days of competition, 2 days of struggle, happiness and pain, everything in between. The emotions of playing through these lobbies here continue on. But now, in the end, so far, Miro and Bugha do have the opportunity to jump away. Avery will find another one, and finally now, that will be their second elim here onto Chucky.
Almost at that 200-point range. They're about 15 points behind. Well, first place was at the start of this game. Focusing on all the bubble teams, but look at the infamous Bugha and Miro for the moment. A red tag around their name. If you get another flyby, Rhythm and 20 will be up top looking to control the game for now, but Bugha and Miro are one of the only teams who were inside that top 3, that tie, that actually survived. They can push this lead so far, have not had an opportunity to do so this entire FNCS. This has been part of the pack so far, so if they start to gain the lead in game number 9, they can win this entire tournament with that momentum.
Absolutely. Acorn and Edge are in that conversation as well. 5 elims have closed the gap as well to put them on up to that conversation threshold. They're just 5 more away from Bugha and Miro, who haven't picked up a single one, but they want to change that. Avery Commandment, finally now, we've seen them round after round looking for high ground, but an opportunity did not present itself until here, until now. They actually go up way sooner, and this is outside of the zone pool. They were dead center, and they say, you know, let's go for high ground here, and we're going to build all the way out. Talk about a bold strategy, literally playing for the victory here, playing for first place.
Game after game, they wait for the zone to pull to them. 50-50 goes the other way. This time, they grab the game by the throat, try to choke out every other player, and it's getting constricting. OMG Me Too, Edgy, right below him. Rise wants to also get all the way towards the top. So many teams desperate for that sunny spot on high ground. Cold, though, down below will be in his natural habitat. Finally, with 7Z up against that front portion of the zone. Dawn towards the backside, everyone like kicks. There's going to be a bounce back, and now they are the center of attention. That's where the spotlight is, and Avery covers that spotlight with a huge bunch of shade. Up top on high ground, there's a 2-layered tarp that's reconnected. It's going to be impenetrable. But Bugha and Miro are focusing those players up on Height Commandment, losing his shield for the moment. moment. They're looking for an opportunity to get some control of this game. DT Rise pulling towards the skies. Trashy also coming in from the backside. It's a high ground retake, and it's a disaster for Avery and Commandment. They're trying their best. They're using so many mats right now, but keep in mind they actually had to use half their builds to get to this spot. Booga and Miro look for a chop potential possibly. They take down Rise from the bottom. It's a third-party situation that's spanning 15 layers from bottom straight towards the top in the clouds. Trashy now left alone. What can he do?
He has to play this one out, and that was the worst-case scenario of all games, of all teams to go for height. A great one attempts it, and it does not work out, and now everyone is left to pick up the pieces on the low ground. Champer continues to fight on. This is the third elimination as a solo Jamper's managed to pick up here. He has continued to earn himself points, and he is working his way to the top 5 spot. But hold up, there is so much more at play on the high ground as Booga and Miro there too. Trashy still lurking within the build and now completely out. Acorn will find Jamper. That story is going to end here, and Acorn and Edgy are continuing to fight through from 5th on up to 2nd, and now they fight for 1st. Miro is hurt, no heals on the other side. The peanut butter edit was great. Acorn fakes him out, and down he goes, but the body picked up to height, so someone else is taking home the loot. It's not going to be for free.
Booga and Miro now set the same box side by side. They've had some very big premium battles, and now it's up to them to pick up the scraps. Avery and Commandment have held on, but how much fuel do they have left to keep this domination on the lobby? Booga's just cut off their oxygen. He's picking up every single elimination. Pickaxes from the right side. Desperation from the side of 7Z and Cold. They take apart opposition on the low ground. They's not going to be able to survive. Edgy also now down. Miro and Booga have a blockade, stopping height from having any conversation towards any teams down in the dirt.
6 elims for them. Who Fishy and Cassie are in the conversation. Avery's down. Commandment's by himself here. We've seen Commandment clutch up before. He takes out Miro. Booga's now a solo too.
They swap places. A huge U-turn. Booga now has to maybe put down that
Only
pressure.
4 builds.
Commandment has run out of mats completely. So many teammates and players in front of him. Can he find any type of pressure for the moment right now? Cold on one of the best sides to be in.
Solos.
All in. He's got no mats either. Look at every single team. Booga in the best spot to be in. Cease alive this far. Cease in the driver's seat, but his car crashes. Cold picks him up. 5 elims for the boy, and he's in his natural habitat. Another big shot. 107 to the dome. Bye-bye, Kaz. Hello, says Booga, though, as he goes for the next shot. No builds. Has to mantle. Has to use movement. Treating the way. 2 mats might make him a champion in this game.
You couldn't ask for better. Solos in the Cold continues to earn his stripes. Down goes Commandment. Cold versus Booga. The Cold comes in. Booga will get crushed.
No way!
Shot, but he follows up and wins in the end. Booga and Miro do it again. They break away with a huge lead after that game there, and it's going to be 8 elims separating them from the rest.
Cold takes out every single person on low ground. A chill at the bottom of the lobby, but Booga, just too hot, takes the game.
The icy winds of Cold from the low ground will come through and smooth things up. If you didn't have your coat on, the fireplace wasn't ready. If you weren't cozy enough, we saw what happened there. Cold will eventually overtake it. But take a look here. We have to run through this moment one more time. Booga and Miro come into this top 10 teams, and they just start putting on a highlight reel. Look at this swing to height here. He swings around the opposite angle and then just plays it out. And ultimately, honestly, right there, if Booga would have tried to exit, it would have been over, but he fights back.
Finds a tree, that one crucial mat, just gives him that ramp, gives him a pedestal, and makes him shoot towards the stars. One of those teams who were tied inside that top 3, now just shoot way past everyone else in the lobby. How far did Booga and Miro go?
We'll have to find out. Game 9 is going to be an iconic one, and honestly could be the defining moment for Booga and Miro, but we'll find out. Let's send it on over to Kelly and the crew.
Booga, with 3 years of terror, showing up that he is still the champ right now. 5 solos at the very end there as well, but I love what Booga did. He went up to high ground and he let Cold, with ice in his veins, take down everyone else in the low ground.
I mean, Booga just played that so well. We saw Booga and Miro there. They were a duo at one point during this end game, and eventually Miro, unfortunately, did go down, but we've seen it time and time again. The solo clutches that this duo can perform they're just otherworldly. And I love the fact that Bugha instantly goes for the win as soon as he sees Miro go down, right? He can probably tell that there are so many solos left that he knows that he has the potential to win this game, and going straight up for the high ground puts him in the best position against all of these solos. I mean, this is just great. The likes of Avery here, he gets that elimination, the refresh is there, instantly realizes that, hey, I just took out one of the members of the high ground team, it is now mine. And then, like Kelly mentioned, this 1v1 situation, this was not like easy. Like, he went down to 24 health right there. Cold almost had an amazing run, but Bugha clutches out, and Jacob, look at this lead now.
Oh my God. They're flying high in the sky right now. And even though I had them in the pregame piece about how solo clutches and what it does to affect their game, at that point in time, they were second place. Without that solo clutch, they would have dropped to 5th. They would have still been in contention for this top spot that they have now.
From going from a 1-point difference between first and third to a 34-point lead for Miro and Bugha. And look at some of the teams that are jumping up our leaderboard. Acorn and Edgy, Commandment and Avery, having Pamsto and Fatch that was in first place, now dropping down all the way to 5th.
Yeah, I think Pamsto and Fatch had around 212, maybe it was 211 in the game before, and they have not gotten any points coming into this game right now, so they do fall very far down the leaderboard. But I've seen it happen throughout the day. Every single time one of these top 3, top 4 teams have gone down, Acorn and Edgy have had a good game, and this game right here was no different. They are now sitting in second place. And listen, yeah, they are trailing by a little bit, only 34 points, but we've seen it. These gaps can close, or these leads can increase so quickly.
And I was prefacing a little bit through the qualification phase. Acorn, he's been here before. He's an FNCS East champion. Edgy, he has a championship, but that's on a whole nother region.
Yeah.
He's looking to claim it here on the East region, and none other than Acorn. They're working together in tandem. They're doing wonderful things. And honestly, a lot of what they're doing right now is just that natural chemistry that comes from being one of the best teams on East.
And I love the fact that you mentioned chemistry, because everything they do is done together. You almost never see a situation where one of these guys has to be in a situation in the solo clutch. If it ever comes to fruition, like, sure, they can do it, but they're just always doing the same exact thing. We saw in one of those highlights right there, they let the wall get broken, and they both were instantly ready with those striker pump shotguns, and then right there at the end as well, both were using those Stinger SMGs, same wall, same timing, same everything, and it shows on the leaderboard.
And obviously, if we're going to talk about Acorn and Edgy, we have to talk about the third place team as well, Commandment and Avery. Better late than never, right, Jacob?
Yeah, better late than never is definitely a thing. And either other than Yamzo and Jamper, who's also on the leaderboard, they're the best performing team out of Rave Caves, where it is one of our most contested drops throughout every single region. And honestly, they have been able to do it off of the back of that same style of teamwork, not one for one than Bugha and Miro, but they're obviously able to clutch up big. They're able to take the high ground. They have very many different views of their game plan, and they're just executing game after game.
Yeah, I really have to say, honestly, I think that they would have been the ones to win this game as a duo if Rise and Trashy didn't try to go for that high ground. When they did that, they forced Avery Commandment to use so many of their materials, and as a result, during that end game right there, we saw it. That's when Bugha and Miro actually ended up taking out Avery. So they lost that high ground, and then Bugha ultimately had it. But I really do think if Rise and Trashy didn't go up for that, then we could have had a different victory royale winner right here.
Yeah, we already kind of talked about the storm surge of Rise and Trash and how they're able to get to a game like this. You see them 388 above the damage threshold again. Even though we kind of dropped off of there, we didn't see the end game performance last time we were breaking it down, but you've seen what that's able to do. A cushion of damage like that, they're able to freely play exactly how they want, but unfortunately enough, sometimes everything comes crashing down like a soft-baked cookie.
And honestly, listen, I liked the play here out of Rise and Trash. Yeah, unfortunately, he does end up falling off of those builds there. But that was right at that mark. That was actually 7th zone. And we just saw him. They were using those grapple gloves to pick up a bunch of materials. And I talked about it before that these games even started. That is the moment when a lot of these teams, as soon as they get a refresh, they like to go for the high ground. So the idea was there. Just a little bit of a slip-up kind of forced them into that bad position.
Well, just like the laws of gravity tell us, those that rise must fall. And guys, we're at the halfway point for the FNCS Finals, Day 2. 3/4 of the way done for the competition. And with only 3 games left, Jacob, what are some of these teams that are outside of the top 10 going to have to do to try and climb up for that big bucks?
Honestly, they're going to have to do a lot. I think you kind of mouthed it there for a moment because it's no longer about placement points for some of these teams. You're going to have to mix that in with eliminations. You got 2 points per, depending on where you're at. You might need 5, you might need 10, you might need a miracle.
You know, listen, winning it is everything, but remember, every single placement you get is more money, so keep fighting until the end.
And it's not the end just yet, everyone. We do have 3 more games to go here. Can anyone stop Bugha and Miro? Well, we're going to have to find out in the next game.
Game 10.
The last leg of the race, and somehow, Monster, somehow, it's going to get even more exciting than that.
At this point, jackets off, it's over. Let's get into game 10. That was a cold, chilling finish, but I am heated up. I'm ready for the rest of the action. NAE's is really starting to ramp up now. I cannot believe what we saw unfold there. We might just see a breakaway lead happening at this point, or will someone decide to take fate into their own hands?
That's what happens when NAE gets one south zone. The people that call Chonker Speedway home end up with that big VR. Casker, though, this time is going to switch things up. Taking out Elite. Glace will be the next one in his sights. Nico also up and around in the business. They're looking really good with control so far. Glace is not an SMG, though, Casker. I don't think the air is going to be able to help you in this situation. What does Nico have to clap back? Because he's put on a timer.
To think we have 3 games in front of us. This one, 11, 12. I mean, I've literally got my food's worth at this point. You know, like when you walk in the meal, you get the whole value deal. I mean, this is the value finals right now for me. Just after that alone has really set things up for us here to have such an interesting day in the feed. Doves, the risky reels battle, finds end pens and things conclude over there. Meanwhile, TK and Ritual finally get to win their early game contested fight. The last time they won this, they went all the way to top 10. Can they do it again?
Possibility for them so far. The thing is, when they're in the top 10, they don't affect that much. Same with Neverfy 2. We're going to be honing in on teams that might have a say and a chance to stop some of these other upper echelon individuals. User Skuga, Bank Tahi. Over and over, I feel like this fight's just getting longer. Maybe they just want more screen time overall, because either way, neither team really rises through the ranks.
These guys are taking it nice and easy here. I think they're realizing that if they continue to play pretty good and survive these early games, they can earn some more money at this point. It might just be putting everything else aside and playing for the best. 7Z is going to get hit with a lot of shots right there. Down to no shield and in the middle of the water. That could be a target of choice here. But Users and Skuga, the longer they stick around, the more likely that Tahi and Bank will also have to play defensively and wait this one out.
They end up just going right beside this little bit of a ridge, farming out the base completely. On the top side of the boards, though, that 40-point type of lead, Miro, Bugha. I mean, what a performance in terms of owning up all the way to high ground, having it towards the end, having the switch up, paying attention closely as to what Commandment and Avery were doing. They've got eyes on all sides, and that's when they have that zone a little bit towards the midpoint, towards that desert. Question is, what happens when they have to move?
At this point, Bugha and Miro should be thanking Trashy for going for height. If they didn't do that, that wouldn't have ended that way.
Rise was definitely all the way up there too. Tried his best to stick around, but sometimes you slip and fall. Every Commandment, Rave Cave, things might switch up here towards the last 3 games. Also have to remember the plan Bs for a bunch of these teams that are rolling in. They might just be like, okay, my scavenger drop spot on the right side of the map that is 3 pixels long might not be working. Let's go to the biggest POI on the map that just has a few teams contesting it. Try our chances.
That is right. On over to Peterbot and Byla, who are in that conversation for top 3, slipped on down to 4th position now.
What conversation? They were in a conversation? I haven't seen them for half the games today.
Yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
And then today happened. They've earned only 10 points today. A very, very rough start for them after the first 3 rounds of Fortnite. What has changed from yesterday to today?
It's just the way some of these teams are rotating. That's all these mistakes that teams are making from drop spot to mid-game base points, I guess, to make up a term, have been issues on day 1. So the way people are traveling now on day 2, they're interrupting a lot of other loop paths. For example, Bash and Pam still running in and stopping Peterbot Byla at 1 point. 20 with him as well, actually seeing Champion and Yamzo a lot more. So all these edge zone type of players are getting into positions that they weren't there on day one. They're interrupting comfortability. Fatch and Pamsto, they were looking really good with it. And towards that first and second game, now at 3, when it mattered most, they vanish.
It shows you how falling behind one game and allowing a team inside the top 3 position to break away will give such a detriment in points between the two. Fatch and Pamsto were all tied up with Bugha and Miro and everyone else inside that top 3. And falling in the mid game was the difference. It's not like they didn't make it there. It's not like they didn't earn points via placement. It's they didn't make it to end game. And that is how competitive it is currently. You have to make it to end game every single time currently if you want to keep up the pacing to win the tournament here. And so far, Bugha and Miro, although they weren't in first place coming in today, although they were slightly behind, they have managed to play the best in the first 3 rounds.
The best in the first season as well, and really, really well in the second one. We're on season 3, and for Bugha and Miro, I feel like the stakes are very, very different. They wanted to get that championship right back under their belt. The only other team that can relate to them pretty much is Peterbot and Bila, who won the last season. Both of them up inside the top 5.
That is true. And it's no secret, Miro just has the genetics at this point. He's talented. This man knows how to play. Pick up and go. Press the engine and start. Donnie and Aviv here have managed to jump up into the 16th position now. Top 10 can be in the conversation for them before the day is up, as the 3 rounds continue to develop here. Death and Tabney not happy about having this team here, you know, stealing away at their route, but what can you do? It's either take a fight and risk it all or play it slow and be smart.
Trying to find anything for the moment. Reminder as well, 2-day type of format. A lot of these stories happen on day 1. You can tune in with them for a bit. Qualifiers as well, polarized quantity. Lots of control there. In that set lobby, though, with the greatest teams all taking away those power spots, the big dynamics. You change the way you play your game. And that changed the polarized quantity, not hitting that full stride.
This zone, though, is starting to go towards the favor of Pamson and Fatch. Every other time we've seen it here, they've managed to play and particularly well. Polarizing Quantity, though, have to win this fight in order to get comfortable here. It's up again, Nyx and Nick FN here. This is Demonics. Performed well in the semifinals, day 3, taking that last position via consistency. We gave them a shout out. Take a look at this here. Polarized Quantity, swing around finally. They have Nyx against the wall. Nick FN is defending well, too, though. He steps out, 126, not looking good.
Wow.
Polarized with the follow-up. Quantity there, too. Both sides are hurt, but not hurt enough. Quantity and Polarized do have the advantage here. There goes the Siphon. They pick it all up, but he's not reloaded. That's not good. Quantity has to back up now, and no! Read like a book there.
What's up to Polarized? Can he take him out? Absolutely. And does pick him up. But man, that's a huge cost. That's a lot of time. That's Quantity down. The book reading, the education's gonna cost him as the fight continues. Not Agers. Dwindling down to 9th place. Always looking good. They're up in a base working towards a Storm Surge strategy right now. Surge is all about dealing damage when the server does damage to you. Mini also has insights on one of the top teams on how they deal with Surge.
I do indeed. Acorn and Edgy, 2nd place going into this game. How are they doing so good? The answer, Edgy, looting inside of Tilted Towers. And if you can look at the bottom right of the screen, you can see a little pink arrow on the hill just outside of Tilted Towers. That is Acorn. He's using the time so effectively well. He's using the position effectively well as well. So, whilst Edgy is getting all the materials, getting all of the loot, he's able to be as proactive as possible, getting as many tags as he can. And that could just be the key to their success.
So Acorn rocking in. Being the breadwinner, Edgy, the house husband, just cleaning things up, making sure all the mats are in the box, ready to go. I like it. Not a lot of teams will be able to split up that type of spot and or roles, actually. They don't have the opportunity for that. When you're at Tilted Towers center map, you can do so much more. No matter where the zone goes, you have so much time.
I know all too much about being the house husband, you know, trying to make the significant other be happy.
Yeah.
Peterbot and Byler are doing a great job supporting one another here as well. It's looking very, very solid. Byler, though, has to figure out how to get his health up. I think he has found a med kit. So that's pretty nice because you don't really want to use your other heals. It's bandages that are going to be the solution for him now. And they're forced to hunker down for a second.
They'll be fine to slow things down. Kaz and Newfish, you want that speed up, though. They want to up the kilometers per hour. Miles per hour, depends on your country, I guess. But every time there's a fast fight, every time there's chaos, this duo thrives. Very good at seeing through it. But so many teams have switched up the way they're playing in this finals. There's so much more patience involved. When you see clicks disengaging, you know something's changed inside the region. Mewtwo and Shonye really also good at finding where the chaos is and getting there first to pick apart a lot of eliminations. On day 2, they haven't really predicted the best spots to be in terms of where box fights can break out, how well they can third party. As a result, from top 5 all the way down to 11th, they go. But there's a chance in this last 3 games. We saw it yesterday. They almost set a record for eliminations. They went in to the 6th zone with 11 elims rocking through. Could have had a 20 bomb all the way inside of the FNCS. That's kind of unheard of. So, you know, there's a potential once again there. We have 3 more games.
OMG, Mewtwo, and Shonye are probably just a couple more 100 hours away from being top tier. They've really shown some opportunities of greatness today. And I say hundreds of hours, guys, because you really do have to put your head down and work week after week after week if you want to compete at the top of the standings like these guys are. I mean, professional players. There was a time where they were share how much hours they have in Fortnite. It's in the thousands. Years of lifetime spent in the Fortnite game. And that's what it takes to be at the best of the best. Unless you're someone like Miro, who's, again, just gifted. He could get on and play incredibly well. Edgy and Acorn, a team that has also been at the pinnacle of Fortnite success. Acorn's previous FNCS wins coming from the trio track. He's had that pickaxe of champions. He knows what it's like. He knows what it takes. He has a chance this weekend to do it. Miro and Booga have had so many chances and have wielded the pickaxe arguably longer than anyone else in the NA East region. They have that playtime in them.
It's a reset in this chapter, though. It's only been 2 different teams. Booga, Miro, Peterbot, Bila. Both of them extending their hands towards the skies to grab it once again. Booga and Miro's fingertips basically touching the staff. One team I want to focus on, too. We have a replay to rock in that way, too. Chubbs, who had high ground in that one game. Him and Jackson were looking really good to move up the boards. Now VR rocking through. What happens to them off spawn? A lot of back and forth action and darkness. They're going to be able to hold on for now. Hopefully be in that spot again. They're up against Avery and Commandment before. We'll tune into their story in a second because Bila and Peter Boss is getting affected.
This is a crazy important fight, too, because in the distance you have Yamzo and Jamper looking inwards right now that are also inside that storm. Not quite safe, so this spells disaster all around. Peterbot and Bila recognizing the danger. They're going to back off and actually go deeper into the storm as they have heals here waiting for them. Remember, this is their draw spot. They know where every single other piece of leftover loot is. Even have a grapple glove to play for later. Notice the other team sitting around. They are hungry to get a piece of this action here, especially Jamper. Even Cease and Day position way off in the distance. That is such a tough spot. Peterbot and Bila do not seem to have luck on their side right now, as after the first 3 games, it has been very difficult, but it's also looking difficult for Booga and Miro now. 34 points ahead of the rest of the competition, and you are in this much of an issue and struggle. No more heals, 2 armored walls. They do have a little bit more to work with. It's Vert and Blake who continue to push and fight them here on this outer edge.
Game after game, they either take them off the throne or give them a pedestal to just rise straight towards king status. Look at the amount of investment from both teams in this spot. There was a chase down from start to finish. We went from metal to wood to brick for Booga and Miro. They've got nothing now. And also don't have time to actually confirm this fight. Jamper also now finally taken out, so him and Yamzo will be put on freeze. Below the surge, Miro in trouble. Desperate for a few shots. Does not have the burst out either. Booga, half a second, comes in with the mini. Miro now not going to be able to survive. Booga taken out by someone else. It's Cam that drops down and finds the fight. Lightning will be enough to take Miro down. He's done enough damage to maybe take Surge off completely now. Cam, though, gonna be looking for Booga's body. Yeah, just 29 above for Miro. Man.
Not good with Booga down here, but also Pamstel finished in the feed, too. What is happening? We already know that Pamstel and Fatch rotate dead side around the eastern side of the zone, and they've beaten TK and crew in a fight before. But now Kim has a decision to make. Do you push this duo right here or do you give them an opportunity? He wants to fight this one out. He has to take on Miro in a head-to-head clash. He does not know the HP situation. Narwhal says, give me that one. I want it. He swings in from the side, and they close out Bugha and Miro. 34 points frozen in time. The lead will be lost here.
One team will catch up for Narwhal and Ken. They must be asking, what the heck was that? Bugha and Miro looking that weak coming right by. The focus from Blake and Vert, that was why. I mean, it's just too much. First place, all that pressure, and now every team can catch up.
Fatch and Pamstol, the opportunity they could have only prayed for, comes to life before them here. Pamstol's no longer in this game. Fatch is by himself. This is a chance for Clix and his duo Duke to jump back into it. This is a chance for Acorn and Edgy to come back. This is a chance for Peterbot and Byla to take it all and close that gap. So many teams now have a chance. Commandment, Avery, but Peterbot's gonna fall. Byla has to clutch up. He's down. The chance. He didn't do it.
Patent denied. The strategy that works every single game. Their product. The send in one player, get a knock and trade. Peterbot cannot deal enough damage. This entire base now, so much noise. Policing from the outside, Slacks and Clarity G. Gonna be able to take down Hoofishy and Kaz. They're right beside Peterbot and Bilo just for seconds. This is just tragedy for so many different duos across the board.
You couldn't ask for a more competitive endgame now at this point. You couldn't ask for a better NAE's finals finale, because what's happening here is we continue to make the top 10 become more and more competitive. There is no one who has the runaway train. With two teams inside the top 5 falling now, that will effectively open up the standings well to the top 10. Officially, teams like Hoofishy and Kaz, a win here, a great placing, finish will definitely put you up inside that 200+ point threshold. And the problem with that is we are approaching the tail end of the tournament. We are approaching that desperate territory where you don't have many more chances left.
You don't even have a chance in this game if you're Hoofishy, right? We've seen how it happens for solos who start off in like the 4th zone. They only get to about maybe the 6th if they're lucky. If you're Clix or Miro, you might be able to almost win the game.
No way, so seconds on Storm Surge. No way.
They're out of shield completely. Two big pots left for Edgy and Acorn. Burning through the med mist. Look at all these tools they use to win games. Being absolutely traded out for maybe just an essence of more time. A chance at slight survival. 22 damage with their 85 below. Do the math. It does not even out. Puts them at 60. Apparently, the numbers are different here. You can't heal and have a window open. Shots might fly by. Edgy is just taken out.
That's why the team 3. That's why Avery here. They recognize that. We got Avery. And Avery comes right on in alongside Commandment. They want to finish Acorn here as fast as possible. There's no shot they're going to allow second place to get away with this. They need this loot for the refresh. But more importantly, they need to finish this team in order to take their position in the tournament. Instead, they back off slowly. They want to play smart. They have to get to the zone. But you know, and you best believe they will have eyes on Acorn right now.
Yeah, if Nut and Chucky are denying a box fight and moving, that means these teams also have to move. Those guys always aggressive, always looking to get on towards any type of damage. Acorn, 208 below, and has a job to rotate, build, survive, deal damage, all by himself. That checklist just way too large. Even the thought of it is just weighing him down. The movement now, Avery Commandment has set over the trap. They make him walk backwards into their builds. They set it up for only their POV to have a chance to hit the body right now, but Chucky and Nut are trying to steal away this elimination as well. This will be huge if Avery picks it up. Metal, usually denying people a chance to keep rattling over at builds, will not stop the pressure from Commandment and Avery this time. They're looking for any type of shot right now. Armored walls coming in, so you know it's desperate for Acorn for the moment. Hoofishy's also gotten into the situation. 4 big points up for grabs. He'll go down. Placement also being handed out. Avery looking for anything, and he's going to be using that grappler precisely to pick up that metal to top him off as well.
Duke will also fight eliminations amongst all the chaos here, so they're looking good. All Storm Surge, which means Clix and Dukes are still in the game right now. First place is out, second place is out. Avery and Commandment have a chance here. Pamstool and Fatch are still in this as well. Fatch is solo. We talked about him needing to make the moves here. So far, so good.
So far, Miracle as well. He's kind of pulled that zone.
Oh my gosh.
It's going to be fine for him to just stay alive a little bit longer, but he has to move slightly. 44 bills. We'll have to use about 15 of them to get into this next spot. Clix and Duke in a position of power. How many builds have they used? Quite a lot, and the loadout's also looking a little bit well worn. they still have a little bit of ways to get into the zone, into a nice overall position as well. My favorite team to watch so far inside these end games is Avery and Commandment. I think 80% of the time I've watched so far, they have never pulled the zone that they want. They've had to work to get towards the next spot. This is a max pull, and Commandment's already moving all the way across into the next portion of his game. He has a chance to come back again against all these factors that are against him. They've never had a single time so far, Monster, where they've had a free game from start to finish.
Let's give all the respect to Commandment as well. Finishing in his worst placement ever in the previous FNCS finals, and then all of a sudden putting in that work these last couple seasons. People counted him out because he wasn't practicing as hard. He was playing with a duo mate that was not as invested as he wanted to be. And the moment he got that 40th or so placing finish, he was like, nah. Not for Commandment, not for the name that I've built so far, and he's put in so much work. And I'm so happy Avery's been there alongside of him, because Avery's someone who's worked so hard season after season. But let's get into other hard-working teams. Threats and Mac would have high ground again. This time they want to play for that victory royale. We know this is a team that can definitely do it. They've been here, and they've done it before. The opportunities in front of them. Kanata and Agers also. Talk about best-case scenario. High-placing teams frozen, right? Top 10 has a chance to come back. You wouldn't have even thought it was possible.
You talk about hard work with Macwood, and you talk about a good spot with Kanata. The biggest issue right now is, yes, although Macwood does put in hard work, he makes work hard for everyone else mid and low ground. When Macwood and Threats have the sky, they focus so much more on punishment down below and not so much on high bases. They keep close and personal and look for any chance for eliminations or pressure on layers, regardless if you're building in metal or even obsidian, if that was an option. Avery and Commandment affected on the rotate. Clix and Duke will stay way out of the sights of high ground. Maybe they even know that Mac was up there. They don't want to see anything. Already starting off the height range. Threats finds Skuga.
Definitely a big pickup there.
When they start and they're active, they don't stop shooting monsters until the end of the game. You will always hear an AR or an SMG active on a height.
Trashy gets another one onto Clarity G as well. So they're starting to rack up. Meanwhile, Fact is still alive. Holding on here. Solo, 36 below, so he needs to find a single tag. Clix and Duke on the front side of zone. No eliminations. Taking advantage of the fact that the top teams are down and out. But they have to start finding more points if they want to close the gap. They're also below the surge here. And meanwhile, Fact is on the outside. He might just run into Ritual in TK. That story will conclude here. If he face checks them, he has to be extremely careful, because that is the team that took his teammate out.
Kanata Ages also on the front side. Threats and Macwood frozen on their base. They haven't made a single build so far. They've only been focused on shooting. That's giving opportunities for everyone on that middle ground to open up and take a few more shots of different builds. Dibble Taco low now. You can just see the damage from Threats. 5 elims for both these players now. It's just huge as Playify goes down. Kanata and Asia, because of all the pressure that's happening up top, they have this opportunity to just keep having mid-ground box fights. 5 seconds of just pressure on walls, big edits and shots raining through. Avery and Commandment, though, run at a time, have to use the zone to get exactly where they need to go. Fat still somehow surviving from the 4th zone all the way up to now and taking big shots. Huge such an opportunity. It's big. No match gets to climb up a few more, and he still survives.
And Top 8 was so looted up right now. Look at how much material he has, and heals as well. He managed to pick all that up. He is literally clutching up against all odds. Meanwhile, Avery and Commandment now, 3 eliminations, front side of zone. Clix and Duke are still alive too. Everyone is starting to catch up to the 260 points that Booga and Miro left behind. This will become closer and closer now for so many different teams. Meanwhile, Fatch is alive on the front side of the zone here. Great rotates, playing smart and calm, collected, but he is out of material. Macwood and Threats have height, and they have it under control here, but they are also out of material. They are starting to run thin.
Gonna be his final base for Fatch. Team's now starting to clash. There is a bounce back, so we're gonna be running into old builds. Spray all the way. Who was that? I think it's Teo. Teammate coming in from behind the way too. Fatch actually the one to pick it up, so even more mats to use. What a solo performance from Fatch. Pamsto in that driver's seat, cerebrally telling him exactly also where he needs to go. Of even Donnie's still alive too.
A team that is fighting for it here. Fatch is down low.
No way, Fatch!
He finds it. He finishes it. Can he get this one too? It doesn't matter. Top 7, he's happy with that. Aviv is now in 12th place. How in the world has this team managed to climb into a top 10 conversation? It will baffle me for the rest of the weekend, but let's go back to the real action, right? Clix is on the front side of zone. He's holding on now. He's in 5th place currently and also has some to bounce back, but the pressure's coming in.
It's going to be a long form type of game with this big bounce back. It is the 9th zone. Possibly going to be going the full 2 minutes. Lots of protection for every single player to be able to use.
Oh
Clicks,
my
though.
gosh.
He can't do much at all. Has to stay crouched here, too, so he won't be able to gain up with the speed. Not maybe be able to even see his feet for the moment.
Make it.
He's gonna go right towards the zone. Not for now, and it is Aegis that picks that one up. Huge Siphon to be able to come in. Aviv also working as a solo. Once again, this will be a slow burn. He goes across the right way. Aegis gonna be interrupted, but not shaken for now. 5 teams still remaining. Aegis Kanata playing this very patient, reacting. What sounds are gonna be coming from beneath them. That's gonna be the key for these guys so far. Cam also alive as one of the only solos it looks like left for the moment. Avery Commandment solo walking through. There's Aviv on the backside.
If Avery and Commandment survive a little bit longer, they will be our new #1 place team. If Kanata and Aegis manage to find more eliminations and win this, they'll jump up to top 3. Avery continues to open up the gap here. It's looking good. 6 eliminations on the low ground, but they're completely out of material. They're gassed now.
After work with Fumes, Cam picks up Aegis and interrupts a team that wanted to win, that wanted to climb back in the top 5. Mac was hearing and seeing all this happen and is angry that he doesn't get a say in the conversation. So see you later, Kanata. Threat's now close and personal as well. Armored wall on the last ramp that they have. Avery sees it coming. Cam makes the first move. Threats with a mantle. Might have an angle. And there it is. The big shot, but he gets denied. Now up to Macwood to see what he can do. Avery steals it. What a heist. In the last moment, the safe is broken. The money goes to the big bank up top.
8 eliminations will be the win there, too. They drive away with the great escape. And off to the sunset they go to live out with the riches there. And they needed those points because now those riches will be one step closer to $692,000. We have ourselves a team that has managed to take opportunity and seize it and execute. Take a look at the highlights one more time. Commandment and Avery have done the unthinkable.
It's just putting up the bait, the turn, distraction, and then prestige. It's a magic show in steps from Commandment and Avery. They play so patient once again, understanding the situation. It's a bounce back type of zone. Just make sure you stay alive. Avery is just following bodies and doing big damage. Huge on the threats and a big win. Now they catch up and make it a 2-way race.
Not only that, that was just game 10. It continues to get exciting here. Avery and Commandment will win. And now we get to start stepping into the championship territory where everything you've worked for is now up on the line here and you have to maintain.
The stories, the overall legacy right now, back-to-backs on one side, a comeback from Booga on the other, and then Commandment and Avery from like almost 50th place, rising to the first spot from last time in CS:GO Monster. There's so much on the line.
We'll have to see it. Let's send on over to our analysts here.
Avery and Commandment definitely on cloud 9 right now after that incredible play against Macwood and Threats. A lot of these times that we see the low versus high ground team, the low ground team will kind of wait for the high ground team to drop down to them, but that is not what Commandment and Avery did right there.
Avery and Commandment, like, that was just phenomenally played right there. They know that there's 5 players left alive, right? 2 on the high ground, and then them 2 on the low ground. So where's this solo at? Avery dips out into the zone, and as soon as he starts to hear the shots come off, he makes the come. Commandment, was that you that just shot? No, it wasn't. So that means the high ground team is fighting the solo, and that is exactly when he striked. That little bit of a distraction was everything for this duo, and that's how they closed it out. But I mean, the lead up was even more impressive, absolutely running through every team that existed on the low ground.
And Kelly, you asked the question, what do these teams have to do at the halfway point? I told you, depending on where they're at on the leaderboard, but Booga Miro had such a good gap between the rest of the competition, it was going to come down to eliminations and victory royales. Commandment and Avery, they snatched up both.
But you know that gap goes down so quickly when you go down in the early game, and that's exactly what happened to Booga and Miro. But here you have it. I mean, Vivid, Commandment, Avery just playing absolutely insane. Going from, 3 elims to 8 elims over the span of a minute.
Look at this. 1 point separates it. Oh my goodness. And listen, honestly, Cam was doing everything this game, right? He took out Booga and Miro, kind of halted them in their place right there, and then in the end, helping Avery and Commandment to win that game against Macwood and Threats. Like, MVP kind of goes out to him right now.
And hopefully you got enough gas left in the tank because this could come down to the final game. You said it, 1 point separating, 20 points after that, 13 points after that. This is truly anyone's game because throughout each and every one of these games, we're seeing large point swings each way.
And obviously, these solo clutches at the very end can break or make or break a lot of these teams. One of those teams being Pamsto and Fatch.
Listen, the gap between Bugha and Mira and second place coming into this game, it was absolutely phenomenal. And the fact that every single time these gaps keep closing means that none of these teams are safe, so they have to keep playing. And one of them that is just pulling out all of their cards, it's got to be Pamsto and Fetch. This is a team that you think about. They have been a duo now for 6 consecutive FNCS finals, and they love to play, like I said, as a duo. They like to be cohesive. So usually when one of them goes down, that's kind of the end of the road, right? Because they're so invested in each other. But Fetch is like, no, listen, there is an FNCS championship on the line right now, and he puts up a phenomenal performance, just being so good at showing off mechanics. And right here, unfortunately, as soon as he goes for the loot, somebody does unfortunately jump into that box. But I mean, still keep themselves in contention right now, 3rd place.
Yeah, and you talked about kind of one of them going down. That was Pam, and I saw him on Twitter kind of tweeting away, saying, I want to cry, 555, full heals. Fast probably looked at him and said, boy, you better delete that tweet. My run is not over yet.
And Jacob, you called it, you know, the Cinderella story, and they started it off in the qualifiers, you know, cleaning the gutters, sweeping the basement, and then once they made it into the semifinals, that's when they went to the ball. But right now, this is their redemption. They're regaining their glass slipper, and they're hoping for the prince to show up on their door.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a Cinderella story. Honestly, to end, no matter who in the top 10 comes out on top, but Kanata and Age, there's the team that I picked. I got to talk about them for a second because they are playing out of their minds. Like I talked about, a solo clutch from Kanata yesterday would have dropped him down to 24th place. He's channeling that momentum. He's channeling that energy right here to try to bring them as close to first place as possible. And you said it yourself, with some of these top teams going down early, if that happens yet again, we could see another first place team taking over.
Yeah, it's honestly crazy. Coming into this, everybody was like, Kanata and Agers 100% taking this. But, you know, after that day one performance where they found themselves in 12th, they right now are still trying to claw back into the name, into the top of this leaderboard. And this game right here is kind of the start of that, right? The momentum right now can seriously pick up for this team because we know what they're capable of. Watch out for them making some of these higher ground plays. They love to make it. They find a refresh in that mid-ground layer in this end game. It could really, you know, bump them up that leaderboard.
First and second place are so close. And like, let's break down the math for a second here. A victory royale plus double-digit eliminations, which is the best-case scenario, will get you around 50 points. And with 2 games left, you can still gain around 100 points. But again, best-case scenario in that situation. So a lot of these teams in the top 10, if we have our top teams like Peterbot and Byla, Bugha and Mira going down early, still have a shot at that first-place spot.
That's why you're seeing the leaderboard get tossed and turned upside down every single game. And it has me at the edge of a seat on the back. Almost has me even standing up celebrating with each and every one of these winners.
Only 2 games left. I have no idea what's going to happen, but I cannot wait to watch it.
I cannot wait. And chat, you guys are not going to have to wait any longer because Game 11 starts now.
Game 11.
Here we have it. Game 11 is just moments away. Breathtaking opportunity here in front of everyone, of course, and it's only becoming more and more competitive, but the battle bus is here. There's no time to waste. Let's hop on in, Shayo.
Last season, if you guys were watching, there was no mystery. There was a spotlight onto who was winning the entire FNCS at this moment. This season now it's changed. Absolutely, we need some deduction. We need some detectives because it can go any way every single game, Monster, and right now it's a 2-way race.
And we really have seen that. We really have seen how many different directions this vehicle can swerve. Normally, the train is on the tracks and it's only a single direction. It's forwards or backwards. Here today, this weekend, we're in an aerial craft. We have 360 movement, up, down, left, right, and everything in between because realistically, we don't know how this will work. But what I do know is if a team goes down now, essentially, end of the road. You cannot fall early anymore.
Even if you are doing these 50-50s off spawn, 39th, 40th place, you still have a lot of money on the line if you win these games. If you end up even just winning off of spawning, getting a few eliminations, so no one can really slow down at all.
Just take a look at Donnie and Aviv. They are probably the peak example of a team that has just done something and made the best of their situation. All of a sudden now they're possibly fighting for like top 5 or at least top 8, which is exponential amounts of money.
Really pushing forward. A lot of the times it comes with taking out one of the top teams at the start of the game. This time the pattern very different. Already saw Acorn picking up an elimination. Kanata as well, not going down. He takes out Mason completely. So all these top teams that usually end up just getting completely out of the business are actually thriving in this early game. Edgy also just finishes the fight, takes out Nosh.
Edgy takes out Nosh. That's going to be huge for them. Acorn and Edgy absolutely need those points to stay up. Kanata will completely finish off Mason there. So the knock followed by the finish. That's actually huge because we have not seen Kanata or Agers be contested in the early game at all. And for what it's worth, that means they are overcoming the issue. But hold up, Chimp and Spade here, a team that have also just all of a sudden jumped into a fight here against Nevify and Crew. Not looking too hot. They've found success rotating south before. And they managed to do it again here so far into game 11. This fight's going to slow down here for a moment.
Chris, Nevify, doesn't matter who it is. I think they have some of the biggest experience so far in the early game in fighting. So when it comes to pressure, even if it is a third-party team in a rough spot, they're going to be fine at really taking, dealing, doing that damage. Chris, on his own, really trying to go toe-for-toe here. And yeah, that edited 4 right above is going to stop him from competing against Chris. Spade has more mats, though. Third-party shots coming in from the far side. They're not going to be able to actually do anything in this fight. Spade still not giving up. 7 builds of metal still left. Him and Chimp will just disengage. Gonna be huge. I can't believe 1v2. My boy Chris just actually holds down the line.
Let's take a look at another fight, of course, the Synapse Station. These are these early game fights that have been going. A big headshot, 100 to the body. We all know that packs a punch. Acorn and Edgy also a part of the early game package here. This time, Jack and Nos try to land right on top of Acorn and Edgy. They have none of that. This is their home territory, their turf, and they're willing to fend for it. They do an excellent job of fending them off.
Oh, these boys, Clem and Avery, just took over by 1 point. I said it, I'll say it again. It was magic last game in the way they just were showing up out of nowhere. On that high ground, looking so good, and they're doing really well game after game after game. It's not just one-hit wonders. It takes a lot of effort to be at that top spot.
Do not forget either, Avery fell in game 9 to a crazy ambush from Yamzo and Jamper there, and then managed to turn that game into an exceptional endgame, followed by a victory royale. So talk about overcoming some of the most difficult positions that you could be in. Meanwhile, 7Z and Cold not happy with how Aviv and Donnie were pressuring them day one. They're looking to fight back, but Peterbot and Bila jump in. Peterbot gets greeted with so many shots that he gets instantly melted there. That was a mistake, as 7Z and Cold just so happened to be preemptively firing out the box there, and Peterbot might have just thrown his tournament opportunity out of the window unless Bila can climb back here. But look at that, 7Z and Cold know better. They back off. They want to play smart here, and they give Bila a chance to not third-party them, as Aviv and Donnie are here, and they're not going anywhere. Tabne and Def want to jump into this fight too, and this is a 4-way concoction.
It's going to be so interesting because we haven't really seen it this early at this spot before.
This zone must be centered.
Yeah,
like dead center.
That or people are just getting super desperate. Another team coming in from the top left. 7Z Cold. They're used to being in the spot and having weird things happen, but this is just absolutely super strange. Went up close now, giving up a little bit of their high ground position. They're going to be maybe all into this fight. Splitting up a little bit of AR too, so Cold can use that powerful rifle at a distance. 7Z can just stick the SMG close range. Everyone now disperses as they realize all these fights are just going to take too long to actually break out. Donnie and Aviv inviting a box fight is not going to be that tantalizing for any player.
Mind you, Vivid's in the back here, rubbing his hands together, licking his lips, to closer and closer going to set their rise up, because we do have a fun competition between ourselves with our predictions, and this is his. Cold, though, is under pressure here, takes down Aviv. He's happy about that one. Here comes the follow-up. Down goes Donnie as well, and just like that, they find themselves 4 more points.
Wait for it. Watch out, watch out, watch out. It's Jamper and Yamzo.
It's over.
Straight into the box. You're calling it, and you're right. Ooh, armored wall. Cold buys time at 1 HP.
That was so quick from Yamzo and Jamper first. They have the ambush in game 9 now. They have the ambush here in game 11. But Cold is not giving up without a fight here. A great tag onto Yamzo is going to put him in desperate territory. But Jamper is more than happy to take a fight at 200 HP. And smart not to walk into the enemy builds there. He walks and waits. And now looking for the new angle here. Cold's going to completely disengage here, leaving behind the body of Scented. Meanwhile, Bila potentially playing for the pickup first.
What happened there is so much distraction on the way on this north side. Bila gets the reboot up. So Peterbot back in the business, or whatever way it was working in terms of who was alive. It's Peterbot who got the reboot on Bila. Back in the business. That's going to be huge because they don't want to stay out of this race. It says 6, but they're basically just 3rd. They're basically just one of the other teams that are right behind the two top teams that are all the way towards the top.
So what happened there is Bila saw the opportunity to get the pickup. Peterbot comes down, edging Acorn, take out Peterbot as he's coming down. It had to be, and then slides in potentially to finish the fight, but things slow down. And they managed to stay in the game. So 4th and 6 with an interesting exchange there too. Take a look at some fights that was going down in the meantime. While all of that was happening there, Nawson and Bryce, of course, we get to continue to see this head-to-head go back and forth. I'm not keeping count, but both sides are fairly even as far as the exchanges there. So far, Nawson and Bryce seem to be the more experienced duo and continue to show just that. Here's Avery and Commandment, first place. AV and Golden on the other side of the wall. A desperate team is there, and no, they back up. There's no reason to fight them, not this soon, not like this.
I talked about it at the start of this game, about the mystery of what's happening between all these teams. I have a very special guest. It's Mr. Minor Holmes with the deduction.
Thank you, Shia. Now, Duke and Clicks, they've had a very lucky game so far. They've got the zone, luckily for them, which is really, really good. They've done really, really well when they've had the zone. They had a really, really good bust path as well. You can see Clicks picking up the burst assault rifle, already getting as many tags as he can on the teams that are landing to the south, or the team that is landing to the south of them. So really, really solid stuff from them. Of course, as I mentioned, they did get the zone once again, a home zone for them. When they've had a home zone today, they've had a victory royale and a 6, so they're set up for success. They also had a really, really nice vending machine that got them that blue pump as well. And if you notice, they're actually boxed up a little bit more central in the zone, so they have really, really good positioning as well. Could this team be on for a winner here? They're in 5th at the moment going to this game. I think this could be a really, really good game for them.
Definitely a great breakdown. Thank you for that, Minor. That puts us in an interesting position and conversation, a talking point for Clicks and Duke. Like he said, they have that consistency behind them when they pull the zone to their side. And so far, you saw the tags are looking good too. So Storm Surge for the first time, not going to be an issue.
Absolutely. We have the foresight now to see what's up, but the mystery is not solved. The big issue is 5th, 6th, whatever their situation is, they're about 34 points behind as to where they should be towards the top spot. If one of those teams, whether that's Miro, whether it's, you know, 2nd place rocking in, they'll be able to just look at what's going down. Commandment Avery, Miro, Booga. If they survive, even if Clicks and Duke are winning, they're not going to be having any chance to actually catch up and be in that top 3 situation.
That is true. You really have to find a way to catch up there. And that comes off the back of big plays, but Shadow here has to catch up as well. He has lost his teammate Walkers. It seems like he didn't make it into the game, so Shadow has to play this one out by himself. Already has an elimination, mind you. So he is playing great Fortnite here, and they're in 13th, so they're not a team that's out of the conversation for making great money this weekend, but also continuing to prove themselves as being great players on NA East, as Shadow has been, over the last year or so, one of the best players to really start to rise up of the new age, the new generation, and now Walkers joins into that conversation as well. Alongside Shadow here, really making for an interesting and cool team, and not only that, watching them win that game coming out of the semis. The highlights on Twitter, they were having a really fun time. The comms there were great, so they're a team that keep the attitude pretty positive, and we love to root for them. Peterbot's going to find Cold in the feed there, so that's a revenge take. Code did not get scented, picked up there. We get to actually run that back one more time. Don't worry. We have all of the action covered. Take a look here. Swings around the side. Cold thinks he's going to exit. Looks like he gets trapped. Both sides with the shot.
It's even shots on both sides, too. A shotgun shot before he flies, and then AR beams to follow. Peterbot going to be able to pick up so much loot as well. Legendary striker and one of the best shooters inventories on the region. Yeah, it's Mewtwo and Shoney they have to get past, but if they do just, you know, ace this test that they have in front of them with even mediocre colors, they'll be able to keep moving by. Shadow takes out Degen. His reign does not stop.
If you didn't believe me before, maybe you believe me now. Degen is no easy player. He's been around for a very long time, and Shadow just went up against one of the best and did that with a very, very big health lead, just to show you how optimal he was in that fight there. He's quick on his toes. Take a look here, though, at a team that has been very, very quick on their toes today. Clicks and Duke, again, they had that dominant position for high ground. It looks like they play out of that to get closer and closer to center zone, and it works out because now they have the edge here in zone 3. Agers and Kanata have to continue to make their move to the new safety, and it looks like it's going to be an easy rotate for them here. Kanata gets cracked, though. Some big shots in the distance there, possibly from behind, because you don't see any of the other teams looking inward, so.
thing with Kanata and Asia so far is that their strength, the power they have together, has been split apart by so many different teams game after game. They haven't been able to play a lot of these end games out as a duo. The reverse for Clix and Duke, as they have stayed side by side, and you can see the difference in who's climbing on the boards and who's falling overall. Trashy and Rise, although it looks like they are being a little bit more consistent, we've seen what it takes to be in the top 3 inside NAE so far. It takes more than just consistency, more than just being average and kind of being inside the top 10, the top 5 game after game. You have to really have nice wins, and at the same time, lots of elims and starstruck games over and over again.
That's right. You will need that extraordinary factor in order to continue to maintain the pacing that our top 3 teams have managed to put themselves into. Once again, though, we tune in with Bugha and Mira, who are in a very interesting situation. We have ourselves 3 teams in their general area, Chewy and Magnolia being some of them, D-Roller and Knifer again there too, Dubs and Rokane in front, and then a world of other teams positioned just beyond that. And we already know teams positioned on the south side on the edge, Clix and Duke, that have managed to maintain and position themselves here. So it's not looking like it's going to be easy to rotate, and more importantly, there are no easy options, but they don't have to fight just yet. If Duke and company have not found the tags that they need, they will be the first option of choice here. Bugha and Miro, the closest duo besides Zeus to the side, and we already saw what Zeus and Costa did to Bugha and Miro last game. They literally were the reason they were eliminated.
Can they be the curse again is the question. And with Miro, Bugha just kind of driving by, you mentioned it a little bit. It's all about making it to the next portion of the zone and keeping that 30-point lead.
Clix is out. He rotates, starts to move north. Look at where he's headed, straight to the Daily Bugle. We haven't seen an endgame here this weekend, but now we get to see some of this in play. This is a very, very peculiar place for the zone to end. These mountain edges, this crater is extremely steep, and yes, there are ways to accelerate yourself up and over, but it is not easy, my friends. I think everyone in the chat has played Fortnite before, and if it's ended in Daily Bugle, you know it can be very, very difficult. It can get crazy. Imagine that, plus 40 pros on your back. It is only that much harder.
It only happens in a few of these games overall. Too, look at Avery and Commandment, and we know that Taxi is low HP. They can see it too, but absolute protection for Tabney and Death. They get to actually exit when they want to. Avery Commandment desperate for that chase. They're playing like they're 20 points behind, but they're straight up in the lead.
Acorn and Edgy actually find the tags onto Death there, completely remove his shield. And had they not tagged Commandment, they might have actually finished that full fight there. But everyone continues to move on through. 4th place of Edgy and Acorn, now sitting next to our 1st place, Commandment and Avery. Meanwhile, 5th of Clix and Duke again on the southern side with Bugha, who are in 2nd place there. Top teams begin to position themselves all around the southern area. The only team that lands north is Fatch and Pamstu, who are just up there. And look at this, they have space on the horizon here to work with.
They can go anywhere this next zone's about to pop up. Thing is, though, mats, ammunition, and heals, specifically just the mats and the heals right now, have to be saved for the rest of this game. We're playing almost a Daily Bugle zone. You might be put in a situation where you're just up against a vertical wall that's like 100 meters high. You have to use about 80 mats to be able to get way past that. So, Fatch, Pamsto, minimal base, Shonye and Me Too, they've moved them so far away. They've had to invest a lot of materials, down to 32 for Shonye. Similar situation for Me Too, I would assume. Violet down to Sphinx. Violet's down once again. Peter Bot gone out. That should be both. A reboot always spells disaster for the rest of the game. Sphinx will delete the team that had a reign on NA East for a whole season and a whole day 1 too.
And they almost had the chance to go back-to-back this weekend. At this point, the only way that their story can continue to FNCS championship territory is for all of the direct competition to go down, as Commandment and Avery are jumping up to near 300-point territory if they can get an endgame. And that would be unsurmountable for a team like Peterbot and Byla now, who have now fallen far too soon for about 4 games in consecutive order.
2 different heroes up for the moment. It'll be Bugha, Miro, Commandment, Avery, who basically just have a mini fighting game going on with each other. 2v2 the entire time, tag team. Avery Commandment was happening over here, utilizing that taxi. They left the low HP for a reason. Spraying straight through the builds too. They were just prepped for it. Tab Nade down. And that's how they got to that 270-point range.
More importantly, the refresh right there, this setup, they get the material that they probably desperately needed. And you can see that it's not that much. It's enough to kind of stay in the game at this point.
I'm just surprised for the moment. I understand it's a tough rotation to make, but they've got nothing for the moment. This means they're going to be forced to stay higher mid-ground. If they drop down to low, I mean, they might not survive for long at all with these big craters in the way. Staying at mid, though, requires a lot of materials. You have to be permanently tarping almost, especially if that zone does not have a single bounce back. So the game will decide the fate of our top teams.
I'm also curious, how are Duke and Clicks doing? How is Booga and Miro? Perfect, we get to jump into Booga right here because they're under pressure too. The surge is active, the shots are coming in, and we already saw they were desperate on the rotate, and that desperation now starting to reveal itself inside that loadout right there. Take a look, material count now dwindling down. They're down to just metal here. This early in the end game, that is absolutely not where you want to be. Mid-game situation, you need heavy material count like Rise here, except you would like to have your teammate alongside you, and Rise has that issue to deal with now as well.
There's going to be huge. Shonye back up. He just went down, so having a refresh would be phenomenal for the man. Edgy with another one. He's the one who took down Shonye. Attracts this duo to be within box-to-box distance, and he picks up Rise as well.
Oh, he pulls out.
They have pulled half and half. When we see this happen, I mean, Minnie was talking about that home zone. A win and a 6th place from the team. Yes, it pulls slightly north for now. Inside this game, Clicks and Duke might just win another. They have a huge airdrop to claim and prime mountain position.
And that was the smartest thing they could have done. Got out of that low ground because everyone else is going to have to rotate literally into that small pocket. That is the only position. There's no shot, no chance. You get up and over that mountain, not easily. So they do the smartest thing they could have done is elevate themselves there. Meanwhile, Kanata and Agers have a world of trouble. We talk about that pocket. We knew there was going to be a lot of teams here, and this is what happens. Kanata gets hunted down, taken down, but hold up, dropped into the box. Agers might be able to save him, but no, D-Roller and Knifer are close on the heels here. Wait a second. Are we going to see it happen? Maybe.
This might be just sneaky enough. Agers kind of making it seem like, yeah, there's no one left in this base. I moved completely out. That's going to be clutch for him. You're asking about the cost. I think Agers and Kanata might have taken a geyser or something that just propels him into the air. It costs you a body to rotate like that in the zone. Even the people with grapplers, Booga, Miro, if they don't pull this next one, it could be dangerous. But they have the chance for points right now, something that Clicks and Duke might not be able to be privy to all the way so high up in the sky. Look at Miro, knows exactly where to shoot already. Booga's there with the pressure as well. Both teammates reloading at the same time when there was a window of opportunity to keep the pressure on to Nasen, who's going to be low HP, taken away by another player. Booga still doing as much as possible to gain any type of loot. Another big pot up in the inventory.
Absolutely desperate to get these points right now because they need to overtake Avery and Commandment, who have managed to find eliminations and continue to open up the point threshold between them. They have that little bit of extra cushion, not only the single point lead-in, but the extra elim they've picked up. Meanwhile, Teo on the high ground, starting to set up the visuals outside, but it's going to pull across. Commandment and Avery will catch zone favor here. Talk about luck setting in as Kanata also picked up and back in the game here, so 7th place is still in it.
Look at the way people are spaced out on this zone. It's going to get half that size. I understand cost is picked up. There's a huge problem right now. Half the next zone is non-traversable. You have to move up a huge giant cliff. There's nothing to be able to get you up there if you don't have those grapplers. Even then, you can be blocked. Half these players might just go down. We have 19 teams, and only about 7 can live comfortably. Macwood and Threats have found a second opportunity at heights. You know how tough it is for any player to survive when they're up there. So the Punishers are back in their position, and every single person is about to get a heap of damage from this zone. The Daily Bugle, we run into the town first, and then we have to pull up straight up mountainous craters.
And Avery and Commandment really have to think about what they're doing right now. They're jumping down into the Daily Bugle, into these enemy builds. These are the most builds we've seen of any endgame in a single congested spot. Fatch is still alive here with Pamstel too. They're in the game. They're leading the rotate right now. This is excellent.
They're absolute low ground, though. Every single person is about to be on their lair because no one can move up. Clicks and Duke, who are also on that primetime mountain position, have to give it up. Everyone's almost maxed on the low ground. Not that Aegis have made it all the way towards the left side of the way. They're now going to be the first ones to touch that mountain. At the same time, on the right side, everyone is doing their best to keep up with time, but they're slowing down, figuring out what to do. Fatch and Pamstel were all the way ahead of everyone else. So was Avery, Commandment, but now they're out of mats. They're out of everything. They're desperate. On this bottom right side POV, your first place team is in trouble.
They're not looking good right now. They're below the surge as well. It's all going to come down to this. They They absolutely need to eliminate Knifer here. They have to fully commit, or it might just be all over. Take a look. Commandment's down. Avery's by himself. He is barely above the surge. Jeffrey and Yamzo push in, and down goes Avery. He is very, very hurt. Pulled in, fights back, but not enough there as he gets taken out. Clicks and Duke now have a chance to close that gap, but Booga and Miro are so happy about this opportunity that they've been given.
Every single person we're tuning in with has less than 10 mats, and we're going back up another mountain. Edgy has no umbrella to protect himself from the bullets of rain. Macwood and Threats have an open season to every single person down below. Booga's fallen. Duke versus Miro up top, as I don't even see Clicks. 1v1, the only duo I think that's left is this high ground team. They're the ones dictating everything, and now we're moving off that mountain completely. So every person who uses all these mats to get to this position loses their feet, loses their shoes. Edgy now, with 21, has one last opportunity to have a voice here. Clicks down to Thatch, as Pam still goes away too. Yamzo's gone, Jamper's gone. Threats is still looking for punishment. 2 elims only. That's way too low for this team.
But they have connected all the way to the build, so they are so secure up top. Armored walls separate them from finding any kind of opportunity here. Another wall to protect Thatch here.
No
Miro by himself too. No Max as well. The same story on all of our top 3 teams now. Edgy gets knocked. So it is going to come down to just a single player for Acorn here. Let's see it though. Paper looking for a chance. Big shot there. Can he disrupt another duo? Yes, he can. And now we might be looking at another solo play, but no, the fight back. In fact, falls to Miro. Miro finds another one. He is starting to break away here.
Chain reaction on all sides, and it's Miro to be the catalyst for now. Final person up in the business, playing that type of situation all the way on second height layer. Teo's there too, though. Down below, C-Stay, the duos protecting themselves from all the punishment. Macro and Threats up top are just putting down on the rest of the lobby. Miro's just taking every single one up. 4 eliminations, taking that first place spot straight towards the skies. 300 points as he goes down. Ritual TK, they're up now, but they've got nothing. Down below them, Cease and Day, also nothing. Surprise, surprise, but Ritual found his way into just a skewer of a situation. TK up against Day. Macwood helps out Day a little bit as he picks up all the residual mats, but now it's time for the red carpet victory lap for Macwood and Threats. They know exactly what to do, is drop down and take out the Titan.
Here it is, though. Day starts to crank out. He takes the high ground. They don't have material, and Threats is in the build. It's not looking good. Day has an actual chance to win this one and turn this around here. Day commits. He jumps down. A huge shot and a follow-up, but no, the 2v1 opportunity is not going to be enough there, and Day falls. In the end, Macwood and Threats manages to win that game. But the story, you have to give it to Miro. He has to be one of the most clutch players that we have ever seen.
Now the agent in the box are looking over 2 elims. D-Roller comes in, takes out both. And then after that, Miro comes in, takes out D-Roller. What a chain. What a link. Duke also surviving that long. Clicks going down to Thatch and Pamsto. The top teams interacting. The biggest thing, the biggest factor in this game, though, that zone. I've never seen so many people out of match. It's like we were casting no build at one point, but I still liked it. Macwood and Threats with the win.
Definitely. Game 11 is going to be theirs. A big victory royale will solidify them. Another one on the board there. And listen, Macwood continuing to show how consistency, persistency pays off here. He's been competing for such a long time, so has Threats. And now good to see him coming back in NAE's finals.
Question is, how far did Miro go? All these top teams, where do they actually slide? Do we have a little bit of a champion in the making by themselves up top on that first place pedestal? I mean, the team, they've got all the information.
Miro saw Booga earlier on in the day with that solo clutch, and he said, you know what, one for me too as well. But Macwood and Threats, who time and time again have been so close to that VR, finally grab it.
We have been searching, Jacob, through qualifiers, through semifinals. Where is the NA East identity? Who wants to rule the higher ground? And who better than Macwood to show up during finals and say, listen, this is the 3rd time they have been on high ground, and every single time it has been from half zone. We have seen teams struggle from this position, but it seems as if they have figured it out, as they have been able to hold it now twice, and then that 3rd time that they held high ground, they did go down a little bit early, but even so, this is just phenomenal gameplay.
Yeah, steady progression throughout the finals. That's what you want to see here in a situation like this. And Macwood and Threats, they really knock it out of the park because they're picking up crucial eliminations. They get the victory royale. They have 4 total. They're bumping themselves up the leaderboard. I'm not even looking for a second, but I'm going to give you a quick stat. It's been 11 games so far, Vivid. We've had 10 lead changes, and that's the 10th one. Bugha and Miro taking it back.
What's crazy to me, though, is how top-heavy this competition is. Pam, Acorn, and Duke's team all staying where their placements were from the previous game. Commandment and Avery, this seems to be the story every game, that the top team goes down a little early, and that's what we saw from Commandment and Avery, giving Miro and Bugha the chance once again to claim that first place spot.
I have no idea who decided to give us Christmas early right now with this leaderboard going into this final game. That's just, thank you, whoever decided that. But I mean, Bugha and Miro, this solo clutch out of Miro, this is what is keeping them at the top of this leaderboard in first place. You think about it, as Kelly mentioned, that solo victory route from Bugha early on, and then Miro just absolutely popping off in the end game. And yeah, you know, you see these eliminations happen in the end game, but it honestly comes from the great call from Bugha. I saw him throughout this game. Look at this zone, all the way up at Daily Bugle. Some people are complaining all these zones all the way up north. No, Bugha adjusted, and we have not seen anybody grab a med kit in I don't know how long, Jacob, but they each had med kits, and they were popping med kits, late rotating throughout those first couple of zones, and it worked so well.
And if you're having that feeling of, wait, I think I've seen this episode before.
You have.
Chapter 2, Season 6. Commandment Avery were leading in that 11th game.
Wow.
But guess who was hot on their heels? It was Miro and Co. Much a different roster, but it still has the base of the team Miro. And guess what? How that story ended. Miro was a champion at the end of the day. So hopefully Commandment Avery are writing a different script.
If you can't stop this guy when he is a solo, like how are you going to stop them as a collective? You know what I mean? Coming into this last game, 20-point comfort zone right now. I mean, honestly, 20 points, yeah, it's a bit, but it is definitely not enough for them to feel comfortable.
Well, Jacob, if we're going to look to the past, we also have to look to Avery and Commandment. Avery won Chapter 2, Season 1, all the way back in 2019, and he might just do it again.
Hey, 3 is a great number, 3 years later, and honestly, if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to kind of relive it, and for Avery, that might not be too much of a doom. For the rest of the other Fortnite teams, that's going to be a big downfall, but one more game, 20 points difference, and we've seen these leaderboards change so far, so I wouldn't be surprised if it happens again.
I love to say it. Like I said, again, this is just going to be phenomenal, and I'm just overall surprised by Avery and Commander right now. You know, not because I know that they are very, very good at this game, but I feel like coming into this season, they were kind of quiet, and then to show up during finals, I mean, no better time to do it. Unfortunately, Storm Surge was taking, so they kind of forced their hand right now, but they have been playing those mid-ground layers absolutely phenomenally, and Commander at one point in time regarded as the best player on the NA East region, and really showcasing it here today.
And obviously, so much goes into being in the top 10 right now, whether that is your play style, your mechanics, but also knowing the map and when to rotate, especially dead side rotations, Vivid.
There are tons of rotations that allow a bunch of these teams and players to kind of, you know, get through a lot of these zones, and one of them, I got to showcase it. It's got to be Nico and Casper. They're going to be landed down here at Synapse Station. Now, again, we've talked about these zones. They're so tough. They're going all the way up north. So how is this team going to get all the way up there? Well, they got the map knowledge down. There are actually rifts that spawn here. So they're going to use it, and they're going to go along the south. You're like, Vivid, what do you mean they're going south? Like the zone's up there? Well, no. There's more rifts down here in this corner, and they're going to use those ones as well. And you're like, all right, Vivid, well, they're still kind of going south. And, well, there's more rifts over here at this island, and they're going for them. Unfortunately, they did not end up being rifts under there, but they ended up just swimming in anyway. And this is a prime example of a dead side rotation. And the reason why it is this type of rotation is, as you can see, the zone's pulling in from the west towards the east. So anybody on the east side of the map, there's like going to be nobody over there because the majority of the players have to come in from the west. And it's just really great, you know, gameplay and knowledge coming out of this team to know where all these things are around the map, so that way they can make this rotation happen. And you can see it right here. Look at the map. There's nobody. There are absolutely no arrows around them. This is a prime example of a dead side rotation. And coming into this last game, rotations like this are going to make the difference when it comes to who is going to be at the top of this leaderboard. And honestly, listen, looking at it, I love seeing teams break out some just random little rotations going, bouncing from rift to rift.
Kind of look at the damage that they were above the Storm Surge 94, which wasn't much at all, which means they're not getting greedy. They're not forcing any of these plays. They're getting just enough to keep ahead of the rest of the pack.
And the reason they can do that is because they are contested off spawn. So it's part of the game plan through and throughout.
This is it, guys. The final chance, the final opportunity for these teams to do whatever they can to get as many points as possible. Because after this game, we are going to be crowning our Chapter 3, Season 3 FNCS Finals. So everyone, with that being said, game number 12 starts now.
Game 12.
Welcome to the finale of the FNCS, the last act of the finals, game 12 of NAE East.
$692,000 is on the line. We'll get to see who walks away with the final prize pool here and now. As the games are starting to ready up, we've had ourselves quite the day.
Shrouded in mystery are the champions at the end of the day, but I want to jump right in and see who has the first say in that conversation. Is it Miro and Bugha? Is it any other team that's towards the top? Only time will tell.
Commandment and Avery truly have a chance now. 20-point difference between them and, of course, our leaders, the FNCS most decorated set and duo team that we've seen, probably collectively the most amount of FNCS wins together in this lobby as it stands. And like that comes big responsibility, a huge task at hand.
But the action starts fast. It's not just the top teams. Lots of prizing all across the line over at Loot Lake. The same story for Tahi Bank, Users, and Skooga. No chance for the moment for either team to find anything in terms of eliminations. Donnie stopped by 7Z, a battle that's been going on for days so far. Looks like they also claim the lead.
Understand here and now, every team that falls ends their tournament run. This is the end of the road. This is game number 12. There are no more chances this weekend to fight for that prizing, to earn yourself a little bit more.
Glide in, Bugha taking maybe one of the first shots, 30 HP. I know it's a replay, but so close. Oh my goodness. They're alive now, and there fine.
Miro and Bugha were that close to seeing the end.
Disaster.
Of the NAE East finals. It could have been over then and there, but you saw he managed to get away with just 30 HP. It was slightly enough. Pamster and Fatch have a crazy chance now, too, to do something big, but my gosh, it's going to come off of the back of a little bit of luck, an even better performance. How much can you ask of the French Canadians that have played so well this weekend?
Ask more. Ask more than what they're putting in so far, because they need to catch up and get all the way towards the top still. Those 5 teams will be silent primarily towards the end of the game. It's the 15th all the way down to the 30th that are trying their best to move all the way up. They have to be more aggressive. Look at the shots from Nuts following that line. Absolutely flawless on beams towards the sky. Gets the drop down reversal, wrap around mantle too. I like that.
As we continue to tune in with our top teams to give you guys an idea of where they are, not only in the tournament and their draw spot, but in the competition. Tens of thousands of dollars online with every single interaction as players start to combat one another for the last time here today. Keep that in the back of your mind. Here's a look at Clix and Duke last game. They got lucky with the vending machine, granting them some upgraded weapon. Here and now, the arsenal looks to be coming together very nicely. So far, they're also in the conversation here again. They're doing well this weekend. They've played so great. Even for a player like Clix, for a teammate like Duke here, they'd be so happy to hang their hats on a top 5, a top 3 position. That would be by far the best accolade for Clix that he's ever put up in an FNCS finals lobby and setting. Kanata and Agers, they were hoping to finally walk home with the crown themselves, but that's far and out of reach now as the teams have broken away. But my gosh, what a weekend, what a performance they've managed to put on. What a season in general. Solo Cash Cup wins out the gate, and now a great FNCS finals appearance so far.
I think this is one of the most decorated teams of this entire season. absolute shoo-ins to win it all, but today the zones just have not gone their way. Nico Castor, we talked about the edge map type of dead side rotates from Castor. But right now they'll run into a little bit of trouble with Cam. No, this is Elite actually taking them out. Yamzo Jamper doing their own thing, but the big focus too has to be on where this zone lies. You can see that line right north of Tilted Towers curving towards the top on the mini-map on the bottom right side of your screen. This zone is home to Miro and Bugha. It's home to Glix and Duke. But most importantly, if Bugha has it, every time he does Monster, they end up doing phenomenal things in Chonkers in the desert towards Tilted either. They have control now, and they have time to work with. They're far in the lead.
That's right. The Miro and Bugha fact have really been, if the zone goes eastern, they just play it so well. They have a great game plan, and they execute even better. And more importantly, when you look at who is landing on the eastern side in general, not many top 10 teams. A lot of the better placing teams all in all are on the north and western sides of the map, so they really don't have that much competition to deal with either once they start getting past some of those early hurdles. For Avery and Commandment, they're right center in the mix here, though, coming straight out of the Rave Cave here. Yamzo Jamper up above them. Cease and Day there, too. Jump in with Threats and Macwood here, though. Have jumped their way up to top 9 after that win from the last game.
High ground Heralds, every single game almost just finding their way up there. No matter the difficulty of the zone, make it Bugle, make it just a flat desert, they find a way to beat Pharaohs. Narwhal, Cam, also just mid-game like speed blocks. Every single time a duo gets up against them, they just suck away their speed and time. Have a nice pinch as well that naturally develops. Cam just doesn't go down fast enough. Nix and Nick will be here, and a lot of times they end up fights really fast. But this time, it won't be the case. Overact Sanctuary right now, it's definitely not a paradise. It's a little bit sticky to get through all these builds.
They're just breaking through enemy builds at this point, trying to escape onwards and upwards to their old big base, and there it is, sitting up above. Lawrence on the other side. Paper split up between him. They control a nice wide variety of the field here. It's looking pretty solid for a team as Lawrence manages to continue to maintain their position. Like we said, nothing flashy from this team, but pure consistency. They have been in the top 10. They have continued to just play well enough to be there, and they are slowly but surely earning themselves their way to a very nice prizing, because you're inside that top 10. It is tens of thousands of dollars more than as you continue to slip outside of that.
Absolutely. Every single jump, every single shot could just end up giving you so much more money. Miro right now, regardless of what happens in this game, I feel like MVP of the entire season so far. So great as he keeps playing. Avery Commandment, the closest team behind him right now, is going to have a tall task to not only close the gap between 20 points, but then go even further beyond past that. The issue for the moment is that with Miro and Bugha having zone, there's no risk for them at all. They're not going to go down to like the 6th or 7th, the very last quarter of this game. And if that's the case, hey, FNCS is done. We have our champions.
FNCS could end that quickly for them if they just get a little bit more for their troubles here. So anything can happen here now. Like you said, for Thatcher Pamster at this point, what more can you ask of the team that has played so well? One of the last teams to make it out of the semifinals, literally 48th to 50th or so. The last couple slots, they managed to come in the final moments and be here today to then turn that into a top 3 position so far after 12 games against the best.
I mean, I can just confirm it. They are the last place seed that came in. The very last team in semifinals, day 3, and the only reason they qualified is the team ahead of them won. So if that didn't happen, it would have been so different. Just so many stories clashing here. Rise and Trashy, what a phenomenal day 1. They wanted to rock out here too. Miro and Bugha, absolutely comfortable. Costa and Zeus can change everything by going straight for this fight. There's no reason to. They literally are just never going to be in trouble for the next 15 minutes.
That's right. Unless something absolutely uncharacteristically plays out here, which can happen, you never really know.
Absolutely. Let's see exactly how deep these teams goes. One more time, Mini Miner, take us home.
Thank you, Shah. Let's give a quick update on the top teams. Of course, we have Miro, Booga, and Avery and Command. Let's start off with Miro and Booga. We can see Booga and Miro being very, very careful at the moment. Booga being able to farm that metal as he usually does, but interestingly enough, difference here is that Miro is staying very, very close by. He's protecting. He's almost like a bodyguard for Booga at this current stage. He's not letting any teams go anywhere near him. They're playing it very, very safe. And look at this from Avery. Able to get a huge beam, just lurking outside of the reality tree. Another unfortunate fellow using that, and Avery using that as a perfect example and an opportunity to get some tags. Perfect.
Just beautiful from Mini. Every single player keeping it close to the chest, as you can clearly see, and looking at the skies. And I want to keep this man close to the chest, Monster. So much good information from one brain on 2 regions the entire time in this FNCS.
That's right. We already pulled him in once, and he's managed to maintain the positioning there. So thank you, Mini, for the breakdown, the update to keep us in the loop right now, because Booga and Miro, Avery and Commandment are truly our 2 teams right now that have the best chances of being the FNCS finalists. Acorn and Edgy, though, in 4th place right now, hip to hip with Pamsto and Fatch, almost direct rivals themselves between the 2. Those spots are also up for grabs, of course. Here's Pamsto and Fatch now. We get to jump in. A couple tags have already been put down, but look at this. Fatch does not have an inventory slot in use at this moment, which means the Chug Barrel, they've already used it. More often than not, they use it and then look for exchanges, but there aren't teams that are taking the bait here. There it is, someone on the outer edge. That team's also going to have to rotate. That could be the perfect situation for them. They have 1 minute and 30 seconds to literally farm this team back here, and that is Chimp and Spade, my pick of the weekend, that have been playing so unfortunately this weekend. But back on over to Avery and Commandment here for 400 damage above.
They have such a gap to close and not really finding any teams for the moment. It's such a paradox of a situation. If they really want to win this FNCS, maybe go for a few more fights here or take risks in the end game. But if they take risks, it's something they shouldn't be doing. It's going to be hard for them to get even more placement, those guaranteed points. And then they're going to go down. The thing is, though, once again, paradox situation, if they don't do that, they'll stay in the same spot, blah, 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 blah. Miro and Booga just get to stay ahead.
They will need 10 more eliminations or to outplace them by 10 plus placements and more elims as well. Just a single one. So that performance threshold right there is very, very difficult to ask for, especially considering Miro and Booga have been making just about every single opportunity a great one for them. But look at this. They're on the threshold. They're on the border of that surge threshold. There it is. Finally, they get some tags, but not before getting punished.
No way.
From both sides here. Miro down to 22 HP. A team on their heels. He has to stop and heal. He does not have white HP. Will this duo jump on top of Miss Costa and Zeus? We already know how much trouble they put in front of this duo here, and now they're right behind them, but there are teams left, right, and front and center. One of the worst spots to be in right here.
Drop some medkit from Miro. Not sure exactly what he left behind, but Booga will be able to pick that up. This is dangerous. Every single team's going to be looking at this line of sight for all their surge. Every team that's moved early, that's desperate for damage, is going to be looking at Booga and Miro to find any type of shot they need to keep ahead of the threshold. Booga, Miro, a spotlight up inside what seems to be an absolute jail cell of a situation. How will they escape?
Literally like a repeat performance of the last game, but this time Duke and Clicks are on this edge zone and they're below the surge. They have to fight. 5th place is on the line here. Their entire tournament run is on the line here. Not only do they have to overcome the damage threshold, they have to deal with the teams coming in here that are moving quickly.
Every single team box fights. As a result, I think, yeah, Booga and Miro just go by all the way on the left. One team now is looking at them. I'm just trying to read this off the mini-map for the moment.
Here it comes.
Those yellow arrows are moving in. Costa Zeus moving into Duke and Clicks, though. Fights on both sides.
Oh, no.
All these top teams put to the test. Duke down, Costa down, up to Zeus now. Throw some lightning in, my man. No, the pressure stopped. Enough damage for both sides. They can get that revive. Miro and Booga get in free for now, but they've run out of all their white heals, it seems like. Chewy and Taco are the ones challenging them, and they lose that fight too.
But look at that, as Duke gets picked up there, he was holding on to the Chug Splashes. That will be able to get them back in the game, and they sit inside the storm for a little bit, but it is now a 2-tick zone. That is how quickly this game has developed.
The right side is free. Just look at the mini-map right now. Every single team's on the left. The more right Clicks and Duke go, the more control they gain. There's no team on the right side of the shrines, and they know it. They're moving free. The Bill's reserved. They're farming now. They found freedom.
And just like
now, they found freedom.
And just like that, they're out of the worst position they could have been in. And they get a clear rotate directly to the safety of the zone to repeat what they just played. That entire situation could have ended in so many different ways.
That means the left side's the most troublesome. Look at this team right now. Second place, Avery Commandment. The version of our protagonists who can take down the tyrants up top, Bugha and Miro, who've been playing so well. It's almost like they have 4 teammates worth of damage and knowledge up in their business. Still have to do this entire rotate. There's so many teammates or just players around them up and down. Avery Commandment taking up even more damage from that storm. This is going to be tough. Knife for now, right behind them. What's going on in the zone? Avery has to make this move. 150 HP each. That's just a few burst shots. They make themselves vulnerable in the sky. Jack right below them. Avery's taken out both players just 2 games ago. They're going to be hungry for that revenge, but they go fast through the jungle. Avery Commandment really making the move almost into safety. They have a pocket. They just need to keep moving.
All the while, Duke finds an Elim in the feed there. So everyone continues to get active on this rotate. That has not been easy by any means. There are going to be casualties in the mix.
No
Avery
way.
falls here, but not completely finished. The quick drop of the armored walls is going to give him a time, an opportunity to possibly save his own teammate. Commandment goes for the cap off first. Wants to make sure he has the best advantage possible here. But no, the pressure from up above. That is Jack and Nosh who are here to clean up house. And Commandment now might just have lost his chance to save Avery for good in this tournament. And we are asking him to win this game and possibly overcome his threats, and he does at least that. He finds the elimination against all odds, but a 5-tick. This might just be the end of the tournament. He's realizing now that he has to find a way out and get to safety. Second place is in shambles.
They're lost. They're destroyed. There's no way, and I know players know that there's something going on towards the backside. There's one arrow right below Commandment on that mini-map that's still lingering behind. One more solo player that can trip him up. He's gonna have to make a run now. Has to build perfectly. That upwards vertical, diagonal type of tower, it's one of the hardest to do in the game. Avery doesn't pass that test. Plus there's pressure. Knifer finally sees him and makes the move.
There it is. He slides to the new zone. Everyone has to worry about that now. Luckily, Commandment will have just a brief moment to go ahead and recuperate himself here, mentally gather himself, and now make the rotate of a lifetime. And as we tune in from second to first, we see a completely different story here. Bugha and Miro hand in hand with one another, but starting to run out of material as well. We could very likely see first and second places fall extremely early here, as now the zone is going to the coast. This is about as bad as it can get for any squad now.
Also unfamiliar territory, or at least uncomfortable territory for Miro. Really good at getting picks while everyone's moving. When it comes to forcing boxes, I know he's got that moxie. I understand he has the confidence, but it's a very difficult situation to force someone out of their position, especially when they're expecting a big dive. Once again for Quicks and Duke, go towards that right side. No one is there. They can keep building. There's just one team on what seems to be the foundation all the way up top, or just on one of those mini islands. Duke and Quicks will claim as much as possible. They're keeping up on their materials. That is huge. This team, for the moment, just nuts in position right now.
That solo team is Pamsto and Thatcher. You can see them there in third place currently. I knew it was going to be the team on dead, so it had to be them. 15 seconds now until we see if they actually pull the half in, half out. Meanwhile, Bugha continues to find Elans, and those are desperate refreshers. We know they need it there, Shayo.
Absolutely, and they're going to have it for the moment. One team separated from the rest of the lobby. Could be a POV of a win, because we know Bugha and Miro are in trouble. 25 teams still alive. Clicks has the zone. Fashion Pants still not far away from home. Aegis Kanata have already picked up Mason up in 6th place. They can also skyrocket. Miro and Bugha need to move.
They're targeting. Aegis and Kanata are targeting Miro and Bugha here. They saw a chance to break those weakened floors. Look at the refresh. What is it giving them? Just 11 bills. That is nothing. On the other side, Commandment still alive here. No issues with the surge. All that matters is that he rotates and he outperforms Miro and Bugha right now.
It's just 100 meters. It's so close. For Bugha, it's just about 50. Not far away at all, but they have no mats, no resources to make it. Bugha and Miro are going to have to move while everyone else does. It's not their usual MO. They like that fast move, maybe 5 seconds before everyone else, but they really need to jump into a box here. Commandment, one mission, survive.
Gets his zone, he's got the grapple glove. His No better time to use it than here and now. Bugha, in the meanwhile, goes for a peek and gets tagged. You cannot get tagged right now if you are Miro and Bugha because they do not have anything to truly sustain themselves later into the game. On the other side, Fatch and Pamso continues to remain away from any threat in the initial area. Bugha and Miro go for the ground rotate. Miro gets tagged. This is terrible. Another tag from the side. Bugha now starting to run out of material. They are desperately down in a terrible spot here. If they fall this early, that is wrapped. The floor will open up.
They've got no builds to even protect themselves in these walls. They found a spot, though, and his commandment is in the hot seat. 700 builds, though. He can really move and just chill for now. Peterbot also active alive in this game, finds Nawson. But the big focus is on Bugha and Miro. They've got one building left. Miro's down. That wall's getting rattled out. Up above, there's one team. 311 points. The first team falls. We thought it was a guarantee. They had the zone, they had everything, but they're down for the count.
This is it. Avery has a chance now, and Commandment have a chance. They have an opportunity. 20 points is the difference. 2 elims for their team, 2 elims for Bugha. That means it is a 20-point difference. They just have to outplace, and guess what? Look at the point threshold there. There is room. A top 5 performance will be enough for Commandment here, but he has to clutch up. He has to play the perfect game of his career.
When it comes to Fortnite, even before the FNCS, before the concept of a Chapter 1, Commandment was synonymous with clutch. Right now in duos, he's in that driver's seat. We have to tune in and see exactly how he moves with this zone. Jamper's moving 240 points. Yamzo will go down to Macwood right in front of him. But it's all on Commandment. 19 points away from where he needs to be. 49 builds. I've only seen this happen once before, and that was with Hen on EU. An amazing quest to be able to just survive. For NAE now, we've seen how it works. The Surge is different. Commandment will not only need to live, but take out life after life as we focus on that top right.
Don't forget, Pamso and Fatch are still in this as well, and they're together. They have so much material and a lead advantage now as well. They can truly do this. On the top side, though, Commandment makes the rotate. Fatch finds a Elin.
Fatch has it, though. I'm focusing on Commandment, and I'm keeping things Commandment focused right now. I understand Rise and Trashy have height, but first place is all on this top right POV. They're really looking to see what happens next. Commandment is going for a few beams. He's not going to find much for now. All around his box, every single duo is just surrounding him.
Any elims he gets now will be the difference maker, will be what separates how much more placement he has to make in this end game. Look at the build. He's clean, but he's now out.
He's out.
This is where Commandment has to live up to his name, the Mr. Highlight, the clutch man, the 200-0.
12 points still left for him to catch up. He's made it all the way up top to have a breathing chance at the next stage of this competition. Now it's 11 points. He needs something, anything, a miracle, a chance of desperation. It's all the way over to the right side, moving through the zone.
Right there.
One player to
That's
110. Huge taken out, but he needs to the body. 2 from Commandment, 3 elims, and he's grabbed a few mats. Up the Walkers and Shadows up on top of his build, up to 305 points. He's 6 away.
Literally several placements separate him, and he is broken away from Fatch and company. Fatch and Pamso have to win the game. Commandment literally needs more elims. There is no difference between the two. There is only an opportunity here now for Commandment.
No match.
This is it. No match. The edit comes in. He hits the shot. I cannot believe he survived. But will there be enough placement points there?
Absolutely not. Doesn't look like it for now. Now it's up to Fatch to maybe even climb back. 311 points. Maybe he has it. Maybe there was a chance for Commandment. Rise up top 2, but all they can do is just change the fate for this French-Canadian team down below. Almost at 300 points.
It's now down to Fatch and Pamso. How badly do they want it? Do they want it more than Bugha and Miro? Do they want it more than Commandment and Avery? 2v2. It's all or nothing. Shadow gets hit with a big shot. It's not enough to finish it, though. We're still at 4 elims.
Win the FNCS by winning this game and take that trophy home. That's all Fatch and Pamso have to do. They're going to try for it. A lot of people going down, though, so has that chance also gone away? Have Miro and Bugha done it? Was Commandment's clutch enough? Lots of new questions raised as these boys just stay quiet on that low ground. One final 2v2 monster. They might just need that win.
They absolutely need to win right now. Peterbot in the box. That's one. Can they get the second one now? It's a 2v1. The side jump. Pamso and Fatch, the French Canadians, have shown up from the last place to the first. Will they be able to win the final game here now and get another one? It's all down to you, Fatch. Hit the shot that matters. Here it is. And they do it in the end. 6 elims. Fatch and Pamso win the game.
All the way to the top. The questions up in the air, though, wasn't enough for the FNCS. Placement can come in, placement can go out. Huge from Patch and Pamsto, though. It's massive.
And if it comes down to the wire, if it comes down to the Victory Royale, that will be the deciding factor. Pamsto and Fast have found another one here in the end. This is incredible. Up against last season's FNCS champions, Peter Bot and Vila, who make the heroes run in the very end. This has been by far the closest NAE's finals we have seen, and you could not ask for a better one as Pamsto and Fast take game 12.
You couldn't even ask for a final game. We are completely out of
I'm gassed.
Juice. We had a clutch all the way to the end. We had a team play perfectly through all the way through. NAE, what a journey.
That was great. That was all I got to say. Kelly, please, pick it up.
I don't know if I can. I feel like I'm almost in tears right now. That was such an incredible run by so many players. Pamsto and Fatch, congratulations on that Victory Royale, but we also got to talk about Commandment's incredible solo run.
Yeah, I don't even know where to start. Where do we start, Jacob? You know what I mean? Like,
don't even know.
Commandment, I don't know if he did it, I don't know if he did it, I don't know if Boogamira did it. I have no idea, but the effort was there. Commandment left as a solo, picked up so many eliminations, put everything on the line. Game 12 of this FNCS. I don't even know what to say.
My eyes were glued to that leaderboard, counting down the point. He needs 6, he needs 5, he needs 4. I was counting down like it was New Year's.
No, we almost forgot to leave the green room and come up
like,
on stage because we couldn't leave our screen. I mean, how could you with such an incredible run, but also to have Peterbot and Vila be the second place team as well, holding out so strong. I mean, just so many incredible duos competing here today.
Yeah, I mean, if the question here is, you know, like who won, it's probably Booga and Mira. It might be Avery and Commander, depending on how many eliminations that he picked up. But one thing is for sure, that top 10 is just absolutely everywhere. And I think it is time, Kelly. Here we go.
Your first place.
Oh my God! No, he did it.
Point. They beat out Miro and Booga. Pamsto and Fatch taking out third place, Duke and Clicks in fourth, and Adrian and Canal in fifth place. But Commandment with the most clutch solo run we have ever seen in FNCS history takes the first place spot and $180,000.
Shout out to Alden for one moment for taking me down a trip down memory lane. Chapter 2, Season 6. They led into Game 11. They let that one slip through their fingers. Guess what? They pounded those hands. They made sure they were dry as can be, and they held on to that placing.
There are moments throughout every single FNCS. We think about them all the time. We remember them. This one right here, I think it tops every single one we have ever had the blessing to witness. Commandment, what do you mean? What do you mean? You just solo clutched your way to an FNCS championship.
And you could tell in that game that he was nervous. He was making mistakes left and right. But when it came down to the eliminations, when it came down to the refreshes, where it counts the most, that's where he had it in spades. By a single point, they beat out Miro and Booga, the 3-time FNCS champs.
Yeah, and honestly, he needed those eliminations. Without those extra points through eliminations, they would not have been able to pick up that victory, because look it was 1 point. That one game or end game elimination really won them the championship at the end of the day. I bet you they're gonna remember that when they're swinging that axe of champion.
It was quite literally the last elimination that he got. We saw him, he was using the grapple gloves, he's making the rotations going forward. He had no materials left. He finds himself next to this just random wood build. He realizes there's a player on the inside of it, and he takes him out. That right there, every elimination being worth 2 points, and then he also bumps himself a placement because he takes out another team in doing so. Right here, here it is. This is the winning moment. Takes out Tabney. Boom, 2 points elimination. Boom, bumps himself up placement. That is a 3-point swing right there, and that is why $160,000 is going into the pockets of Commandment and Avery.
$80,000 per player here. That is life-changing money by a single point, a single elimination. But honestly, all 10 teams, all 50 teams should be proud of themselves to make it here after the multi-week journey that is taken through qualifiers, through semifinals, and now the 12-game, 2-day series that is the FNCS Finals.
Yeah, honestly, it's very, very hard for me to even get out and make it past it open. For these guys to do it, grueling 12 games, 2 different days, it really proved that it was a marathon. It wasn't a race, because if you let up off the gas just a little bit, the leaderboard shows you would have lost thousands of dollars, let alone that championship.
Jacob, coming into this game, how many leaderboard changes at the top do we have?
Honestly, with Commandment Avery going back up, that's 11 leaderboard changes out of 12 games.
Almost every single game we had somebody different at the top of this leaderboard, and it shows in this leaderboard as well. Pamstel and Fatch at 1 point being very, very close, only 3 points away from their very first FNCS championship. I don't even know what to say. Everybody played so well today.
There's really not much that can be said. Pamso and Fatch squeaking through, holding on to that 3rd place. Even they were in contention, 3 points shy of at least tying that 1st place spot. And then guess what would have happened? It would have came down to VRs. Even that, I don't know if that was tied, but if that one was tied, it would have came down to eliminations. We would have had so many tiebreaker scenarios. Pamso and Fatch, even though you didn't win, you definitely won my heart.
And listen, they won this last game right here, right? So they got like pretty much all the points they really could have throughout the game. They just needed to find a couple more eliminations. 2 of them would have been the difference right now, and they would have been the FNCS champs. But I mean, 3rd place, nothing to be sad about for sure. Fatch and Pam still putting on one show this weekend.
And also, 2nd place, $100,000 going to Miro and Booga there. Considering the fact that they have now gotten 3 first places in a row, a 3rd place, and a 2nd place. Yeah. They might be the best team in all of FNCS.
Hold on. There's still that in-person FNCS Invitational that I think is going to be perfect to go ahead and cement some legacies, whether it's this region or the next. I think that is where we're going to end the year strong.
There you have it. I mean, listen, honestly, ending strong. Talk about it. Duke and Clicks as well, sneaking in that 4th place position. They were keeping themselves in that top 10 throughout the entire competition. And it's also great to see Kanata and Agers finding a 5th place, still on the hunt for the win. But I mean, 5th place, that's still a really great accomplishment.
Yeah, Agers and Kanata kind of had a bit of a struggle yesterday. And going all the way up into this 5th place spot, they definitely deserve it.
I know it was duo FNCS. I know Agers is one phenomenal player, but it wasn't for Kanata and his solo clutch just taking over endgame after endgame. Who knows how far they would have fallen. So even though it's a great, fantastic team effort, Agers better give him a great pat on the back.
I mean, honestly, all of these duos need to give their respective duo a pat on the back because they all played so well, especially everybody in this top 10. I really feel like at any point in time, a lot of these teams, doesn't even matter, a lot of them could have been in contention for winning this. But I cannot wait to hear my man Shia wager. Like, it was a big question mark. He did it. Commandment did it. How does it feel?
It feels good, man. That was insane from just his perspective to watch. How far back he was, Monster, way in that zone by himself. And like, it's an impossible rotation as well. Everything about that clutch was perfect.
And not only that, this is one of the special moments where having this job is like one of the coolest things because you get to see it firsthand. You get to be in that driver's seat, call those moments. And it was truly a question mark for us. I didn't know if Commandment did enough. I knew he was doing something crazy, but then Panso and Fatch, man, to win that game.
It's huge. The big thing, too, $60,000 elimination. That was the big difference in that moment. Cabinet, you're worth $60K as well. Add that to the earnings of what's going on too many.
I mean, come on, man. You're the man, okay? You are the man. If you're watching unbelievable scenes, guess where they were going into today? 9th place going into today. I had a little look. I want to see where were they going into today. 9th place. And if it wasn't for that solo clutch, we can't say it enough. They wouldn't have done it, but they came first. They had such a great day. They gave us such a good show.
And Shao, you're saying, like, you know, it's the $60,000 difference there, but also Commandment, who has time and time again fallen into that 2nd place spot. Avery, who hasn't won an FNCS since Chapter 2, Season 1 back in 2019. This means so much more than the money, but the money is also very nice.
Think about their story overall, right? Last season, Monster, me and you were talking about it. Dumpster to W. You said that backstage, like literally.
Dumpster to W, all the way up to hero, because we're talking about a player that literally took somewhat of a season off and then just had some inner reflection, worked even harder, pairs up with someone like Avery, which I know Vivid is so happy to see back on top. This is what makes it really cool. And not only that, I've been, like, honestly champion for a player like Commandment in such a long time because he has had some of the biggest highlight moments as an individual ever, and one of the first players to ever go from not only just being an individual player when it comes out to combative skills, but also lead tarping as a co-IGL and developing the space as a whole. So it really does mean a lot that he has won this entire tournament just now.
Absolutely, he's on top. If you look at the screen right behind me as well for all these players, that top 10, every single predictions list, if you just look at the quality of the lobby, those are the names.
Yep.
Those are the big names everyone expected to be up there. It's crazy if you just take a step back and look at all those performances, all those stories. Kelly, it's just huge.
And I mean, speaking of huge, $692,000 for the prize pool going to all 50 teams right there. And it's just all of them deserve it wholeheartedly. I can't believe it, what they won there. And also, we've obviously had a little bit of a competition ourselves throughout the days. And we are tabulating the scores because me and Jacob were very close. And at first, I thought that I kind of had it quite easily. But Kanata and Agers jumped up to that 5th place spot. Booga and Miro, my pick, dropped down to 2nd. So I truly don't know who actually got the win.
I honestly think that Commandment solo clutch did more than just clutch them the championship. It could have clutched me the championship because I feel like the only way that you would have won is Booga and Miro coming in first. You get those bonus points, 32 to 29. So not only did this game come down to the wire, our predictions are going to come down to the wire.
Well, let's look at the predictions right now. Who is going to come out on top for our team? And it is, I got 168.
Jacob PR.
I needed it. I needed it. You guys didn't feel, Kelly knows, but you guys didn't feel what I went through on West. I was getting tossed around. I was like luggage through an airport. Nobody wanted to go through what I went through, but I believed in Arkham and Epic back then, and I believed in so many teams today. Just like Kanata and Agers, I knew it wasn't necessarily going to come down to a win. It was going to come down to a day 2 performance.
You have a visitor.
Hey, oh my God. Look. You know, I told Vivid, I said one way or another, I'm taking Vivid home with me. And luckily enough, it's in picture form.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man.
Congratulations. Look at that. How do you feel, Jacob?
I feel tall if I just put Vivid on top. There you go.
It looks great.
I mean, congratulations, Jacob, and obviously the hard work that you have put in, and you can see the scores there. I think you have under 26 points in only one of those weeks right there.
Yeah, I blame a little bit of slacks and clarity for that one. I'm gonna go ahead, but honestly, it was because they were going for those grapple gloves. As soon as they switched up their drop spot, as soon as they switched up their game plan, they performed so much better. But man, imagine their scoreboard if they would have performed on that one day.
Absolutely crazy. What a season, though. I think we can all agree. What a season. Not just what a finals, what an overall season across all different regions. It's been an absolute blast, hasn't it? I mean, realistically.
Suddenly, my glasses stopped working when it came down to reading that leaderboard because I may or may not be in last place there, but we'll go ahead and clean the shades a little later there. So I'm not going to talk too much about it.
I mean, this has been absolutely incredible, and I mean, thank you guys at home for watching and joining us. And of course, to our incredible EU team, the incredible production team that we have here that has been sticking with us until the early hours of the morning. And to all of our players for competing today. Thank you guys so much. And we can't wait to see you next time on the Battle Bus.
Beat, 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 beat.